So, let's have a look at this. Skycadia stuff. Now, the only reason why I'm very interested in this situation is that so this Skycadia, I don't actually know of them, to be honest. I guess they're an actual play group, and they are doing this Darrington Press collaboration, and I think they're playing one of the new Hope and Fear campaign frames, which is the Wizarding School one, Skycadia Entrance Exam. So I'm hoping this is like a little bit of a look at what we're going to be getting. And this is long. We're not going to watch the whole thing. I will do that in my own time, don't worry. Let me just... Dagger Brain, what's going on? Music very subtle. I'd rather it very subtle than too loud. Let me know if you can hear mutes himself. I didn't... Did I? Or did I just stop talking? Sometimes I just... You just watching that stream. Was it any good, Humble?
Oh, maybe 1, 5, 50 sets of dice and... Already a solid opening. Thank you for the follow, Druin Canthus. Is this too loud? If I talk at a normal level, can you hear me fine over the music? I said this issue, I think, as I haven't lost audio. Good. To the realm of Xantheria. A vast world made up of 5 continents, each with its own unique macroclimate.
How rude is it if I jump through this? I think I just want to see. I think this is something I'm going to watch on my own time.
She's already been accepted to the school. Like, she's just in her mind.
Because I guess we don't get a look at anything from the actual Hope and Fear stuff. But I got to say, so this, if I'm right in thinking this, and this is using the Magic School campaign frame from the new Daggerheart book, I think as a campaign frame, that is the one I'm most excited for. I really would like to play a wizard, to GM a wizard school game of Daggerheart, and this is the way in.
Mind knows that this is where she is going to be for the next 3 years.
I mean, they're using Aetheris, which is going to be in the new book, albeit anyone has access to that now, though, via the playtest materials. And yes, Skykin again. No classes from the new one now, yet. Anyway, this is, watching me jump through this for information is, I think, probably the worst way to try and watch an actual play. So I won't submit you guys to it. I'll leave that for later. I'll actually watch that and do my due diligence at a later date. Seventy sets of dice, great start. When will you really start collecting? Yeah, you got to get those numbers up. I'm stopping at 100. I already have which dice set to use. Oh, sorry. I already have which dice set to use issues now, and they're all Daggerheart sets. I just added a bunch of D12s. Yeah. I like the idea that you cap your dice at 100, but you still buy new ones, but every time you buy new ones, you have to choose others to throw out. It's stressful. It's hard. The skills on the screen. Yes. So, this was my attempt at playing around with something for an actual play. And it goes with what I kind of want to focus on today, which is mostly talking about fear in Daggerheart. And I don't know how well this is going to work, actually. So we're testing this live. Hell, we're doing it while we're live. So technically, when I press a button in front of me, the fear up button, I gain another one of those skull tokens. And if I press the fear down button, I lose one. And the sound effect should play. So let's just test it. I'm going to give myself a fear. Success. You guys can hear that, right? And it's not too loud. Let's take them away. Can you guys hear that? It's subtle. There should be a sound effect on both. Anyway, I'll start with 4. I'll start with 4 fear. But that works. Isn't that good? So I was like looking at like, playing around with it. Leaving it up there. It's like up in the, you know, the corner of my, like underneath my little webcam there as well. I don't know what I'm going to do with it when I'm streaming like this. I probably just won't have it at all, but I think it's a fun thing. Like, if one of you now rolls a d20, in fact, I'll roll for you. I'll roll, whoever is the, like, last person to chat when I look, I will roll 2d12s for you. So, Ricky is up, and he's rolling an 11 and an 8, which is a 19 with hope. And then Silence came in with a 5, which obviously we talk about d20s and things here, and it's. I would say that, you know, my fear will stay the same. I don't know. I think there's a fun mini game we can play, guys. I just don't know what it is yet, but I think there's a fun mini game where I can gain and lose fear and do certain things on stream. But honestly, just the 5 was a bonus. That was you rolling with advantage with the d20. I'm ashamed to say that finding out how to do this took me so long. I spent pretty much all day yesterday in my recording software trying to figure out a way to actually make it work. It was not as simple as I thought it would be. I made the little meter, I made the skull tokens, well, they're from their stock graphics from Anbato, but I put them all together. I made 12 different images that are all on top of each other, and when I press this button, it just hides one and shows another one. But to make it so that it only ever showed the one I needed, I had to create this if this then that variable system of like +1, +1. It was annoying. I'm not a coder. I'm not saying this is anywhere near coding, but I'm just saying I don't have a brain for that kind of thinking. And it's that level of like, you fill out all this stuff and it's just logical, and then you test it and it doesn't work, and it's because just one small thing is off somewhere. Just one small thing. You gotta go find it. It's awful. It's awful. Because stuff that you think you'll do it fast, and then it'll take like an extra hour or 2 to get it sorted. Just joined in. What fear counter it is seems to be nice for VCT as well. Yes, so I want to use this fear counter in actual plays to show. I mean, just for myself to track fear. I don't know if I can show it to my players as easily unless they're watching the stream, because I want to live stream it, right? But certainly for the audience can see how much fear I have as well. So that's kind of why I created it. But yeah, I put it together myself. This isn't something you can go get. But I'm using OBS, which is my recording and streaming software, as well as like I used Photoshop to. This little bar down here looks way better in Photoshop. It looks bad on here. It needs like a shadow behind it. It needs a lot more work to make it look nice. It needs to stand out more from the background because it's blending in with like the darker parts down here, including my shirt. And I'm not happy with it. But the problem is I don't want to mess with it now because it works. It actually works. But it shouldn't be too hard. Like, the stuff works. I just need to make new images and name them the same and put them in the same folder. It should work. Do a mind a light blue or other color glow behind it. Yeah, something like that, right? And then I showed my wife, I was so excited yesterday. I showed my wife and she's like, "It's so cool. You should put some kind of effect on it so that when it goes down or goes up, it like, there's a little flame or the eyes glow." And I was like, get out. Get out right now. I don't know. I there's no way I'm learning how to do that. You know how long it took me to do this? There's no way. But it is what it is. I was AFK. Is that a fear tracker built into? Yes, it is, Humble. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. Since same color, the higher D12 is always hope, right? Ricky, no. The system here, until I can find out a way to roll things on stream with 2 different dice. And as soon as I do that, I'm going to open it up so that anyone can roll 2d12s on stream. Is my dream. But this, once again, took a lot longer to figure out than I thought it would. But when I roll these, the first one at the bottom, you know where it shows, my fear track is kind of in the way of it, but it shows 1 and 11. Whatever's on the left there is fear. So that is hope, sorry. Whatever's on the left is hope, right is fear. So that is a 12 with fear right there. So let me, obviously this fear counter does not need to be that big either on screen. So maybe like a, doesn't have to be that small either. Maybe just down there. Maybe is that, how's that feel? Slightly cleaner. Or up top here. Like just slightly, or maybe the chat can be going into it. Actually. Is that awful? What about if we did this? Actually. We're doing it live. Nope. That's incorrect. That's kind of fun, right? Thoughts, concerns, prayers, queries. And that is a 2. I'm definitely taking a fair. I'm definitely taking a fair for the 2. There's no way I don't get a fair for that. This is custom rules. Nothing makes sense. Get with it. Give me that fair. That 12 fair, the stream ends. All right. Let me catch up with some chat. Sorry, because I saw some people come in. I want to say hi to. So it's in OBS integrated, not a ready-to-use software. It's not ready to use. Honestly, I don't think I could make it myself again. I stumbled through making that so much that, like I said, I'm scared to mess with it. Frank, hello. I know you've talked about wanting to make a Daggerheart actual play. Is it going to be live streamed like Critical Role or pre-recorded and edited like Damage 20? So I would like to try live streaming. And I was thinking about doing it this Friday if I can get my friends together. But maybe it might be the week after. It's like, look, scheduling issues. We know that, right? Scheduling issues. So as soon as I can get some people going, I want to do a one shot. I want to do the Sablewood quick start adventure. Honestly, because I've not run it before. I've read through it, but I've not run it before, and I think that'd be fun. And I would like to try it live. I'd like to try it with you guys all in chat, just chatting away, and seeing what that's like, and then editing it down. Words, man. But I have done it. I've made a edited down actual play that was pre-recorded that came out last week, which I'm quite happy with, to be honest, because I thought it would be more of a train wreck. Nico DeGello, hello. How's it going, buddy? Welcome in. Hold on. Above your head like the threateningest Halo ever. No, I'm not. What about just the full screen it? Just make it as like dominating as possible. Just so we're aware of the situation. Vylock on a 15. That's nicely done, actually. Hold on. OBS is not the easiest thing to maneuver around, if I'm being completely honest. But I kind of like it. I kind of like it integrated with the chat somehow. Maybe I had it good. I had it good before. There's a lesson to be learned about messing with stuff. You know, fixing stuff that's not broken. So yes, I would like it. I just want to do one-shots for now while I get better at it. I knew this, and I know everyone knows this, but it actually was a bigger deal than I thought. There is a big learning curve to doing actual plays. From the actual getting it together and getting people who are okay with being on camera together, to the actual filming of it, which is kind of easy, but certainly if you're live streaming it, there's a whole other thing. Like, I have to create stuff like this Fear Tracker, as well as multiple layouts on OBS, and do all that stuff. Is like a lot to it. And then I spent like a bunch of time last week putting together a playlist of music that I could play, like, well, live. And then obviously editing it down and making thumbnails and all that stuff. It's a hell of a lot of stuff around the actual playing that I'm bad at, and I can only hope I'll get better at. You know? Shakiro, so you in here? Holy crap. Hello. Wait. Yeah, God, I'm streaming on the right channel. I had a moment. Shakiro, so I was watching your video on Sablewood. And it's a very, very good video. And honestly, it should have a lot more views. It's a very, very good video. I liked it a lot. What app do you use to do the dice roll? I could probably make a duality dice version of it if it's open source. It is DDD Dice. And the creator of that has been in chat before and is really friendly. And they can probably... It's probably set up. I probably just have to go into it and then click something to make it work, to be honest. I've not looked. It's another thing that I got working on stream, and now I'm scared to change it too much. Hold on. Why am I getting Discord notifications? No, we good. I can't believe I upgraded from listening to your streams while at the gym to catching you live. Love you. Shaki, thank you. Thank you. Hearts of Daggers, good morning. Good. Where you are, it's morning. In Australia, maybe. It must be early, right? God, I've learned what nightmare live streams are. Being asked to do them by your viewers feels like somebody joyfully giving it. Nico, because you do your podcast, right? Is that live? Or have you played with it being live? Content jail. It's just Daggerheart still currently is a much smaller fish in the TTRPG pond. That Takero's Sablewood's video taught me a lot about adventure design. Yeah, it's a very good video. So I want to play Sablewood live, and I would love to. I don't know. I'm part of me just wants to play it as is, and try and make it work on the fly. But another part of me is like to go in and do what Trek did, and improve on some of the elements of it, because it's not that I don't think the adventure is bad. I've heard some people think that it's a bad adventure. Valman, thank you for the follow. Yeah, I've heard some people say it's a bad adventure. I don't think it's a bad adventure. I just think it's like what it's specifically good at is teaching the game, and honestly, I think it's more GM friendly than player friendly. It's almost like, I guess it is bad because if someone asked me like, should I run it? It would be like, use that as an example of some of the things you can do and then read it. Because I think you just learn so much from reading it, personally. But what can I've not run it. I've not run it, so I really shouldn't, be making assumptions. Do a minor light blue. Oh yeah, for a yellow shadow to cover the hope in darkness. That would be good. That would be good. What kind of file is that? Of what? Sorry. What kind of file is my... Yeah. So the Fear Tracker is just a bunch of JPEGs. Or PNGs, sorry. They're just... there's 13 PNGs there, stacked on top of each other, all showing different Fear numbers. And then all I'm doing is like hiding one or showing one. I love that. A blue flame to put a new fear on the display accompanied by an evil maniacal laugh. Yeah, I would love to do that as well. That sounds like a week of work for me. Fear eating the chat. What? Tracker should be a health bar that tracks over your head. Okay, now we're getting into just... I'm never going to be able to do that. Don't know what that system uses, but you would need to use set variables to define dice. So, yeah, I don't know how it works either. I do left hope and right fear because the book is named Hope and Fear. Yeah, I do... Yeah, I don't know why. I just feel like left to right, good to bad in my mind for some reason. You should make each fear icon one of the 9 Skullhouse symbols from Gideon the Ninth locked tomb. I feel like... So what you're saying is it's not good enough in its current state, guys. What you're saying is that I gotta do better. The real final BBEG scheduling. It's so true. It is so true. And it's like harder because a lot of my friends, rightly so by the way, don't want to be on camera. And they certainly don't want to do it live. It's so much added pressure, especially because like I'm at least desensitized to internet comments to an extent, but other people aren't. And like I can take it, kind of. Sometimes I have a moment where I just sit down in the corner and cry, but for the most part, criticisms about how I play, or criticisms about how I talk, or criticisms about how I look, I can like now kind of just handle. I can just be like, okay. And if it's like actually someone acting in bad faith, I will just like get rid of that comment. So yeah, my comment section's not free speech, guys. I'm sorry to tell you. If you're mean, I get rid of you. You did the first episode live, Nico. Decided never again. Never again because it was like too much extra like cognitive load. Because that's the thing about me. I like interacting with chat so much. So if I did an actual session live, I think I would just have to either hide chat or come up with a really interesting way of like including them. Ralman, thank you for the Prime subscription. Thank you for the Bezos money. I really appreciate that. Cheers. It looks like I missed a few rolls as well. I don't know what you got, Qbox. I'm going to presume it was a 20. Derek, your number one thing about players struggling with fear is that too often GMs are spending fear only on big things. It teaches players that fear is to be avoided rather than fear being the fun. I agree with that, actually, Derek. I do think there is a lot of power in using fear to make moments, to escalate funny moments, right? And it's something that's done in other TTRPGs naturally. But just being like, oh, you know what would be funny? Like, what would be funny but unlikely to happen right now is if this person just happened to walk into the room. I have an example of this, actually. I was playing a With a Wild game, GMing, and one of the players pretended to be the Archmage of Haven, the city it is, like in charge of it all, fundamentally the president. And they had like an ability that made them look like them, and they went into this room full of people and were trying to convince everyone to do it. And then they rolled really badly on some checks. And I was like, well, this is going to go bad. And it was one of the players that said it. They were like, oh no, what if the actual Archmage walks in behind you now? And I was like, that's great. And I spent a fear and I did that. And it didn't make this, it did make the scene worse, but it made it way more hilarious, and the players loved it. And I think spending fear like that, rather than just doing stuff that like, because I think most people's go-to fear thing is to just eat up player resources or like damage them in some way, rather than creating really cool moments for them. And I think fear is best used when it's like, you can even use it to target NPCs as well. So, you know, if an NPC and the players are climbing up a cliff face, you can spend a fear to have the NPC lose grip and begin falling. And then the players can all roll to do really cool stuff to save the NPC. And it just opens up that whole thing without directly attacking the PCs. Yeah, people talking about Sablewood. It's all right for very, very new GMs who have never heard of Daggerheart before and somehow recently got a lot of D12s. Yeah, I think very early on in there, there's this key moment that I saw that I've come full circle of in the Sablewood quick play, but it's an interesting thing in general with Daggerheart about the opening up the conversation for collaborative storytelling. And that is the first question the GM asks the players is something like, and I think it even uses words like something like, so you don't have to do this, or you could change the question, but it's something like, you notice something about the trees in this forest, something weird about the trees in this forest. What is it? And I saw on Reddit when it first came out, people were saying the players just like describe the trees, but it doesn't change anything. It doesn't change anything. Like, oh, the trees are pointy, or the trees are like round, or the trees are all purple, and they're just like, doesn't do anything for the story. But I actually disagree with that. I think little questions like that, it doesn't always have to have any meaningful impact. It's just that now the scene has changed, the visual has changed in people's heads, and that was a player's contribution. And often that can lead to having actual narrative stuff, because it might be that the trees are purple here. Okay, cool. What do you guys want to do? And one player is like, I want to go investigate why the trees are purple. Is there something magical going on? Is this like a different type of tree than we're used to? And then that can lead to other stuff to do with that. So I have no issue with asking players questions that there's a chance that they don't go anywhere with, but only, I guess I do have a problem with it, but I think it's fine, is what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's a great thing, but I think it's okay. As a GM, you have 12 max fear, right? Qbox, yes, you're talking about my my fear tracker here. Interesting thing there. You have 12 fear max, but you can have 0 fear, which is the 13th state. So that's why I needed 13. The more you know. I'm more creative than skulls on a background. Yeah, I know. It's just a start. It's just a start. Nico, aka Jeff. Hey peeps, what's up? I got lost in the chat. So if someone said something and I missed them, just type it back in chat again. My play group is able to walk the fine line of thinking fear is dangerous but not being scared of it. Yeah. I've said this before, I do wonder if they regret calling it fear a little bit. I wonder if we could have come up with a different... The Cosme RPG has, I think they call it plot dice, which is what you roll when you're doing something important. So you roll normally, and if it's a big thing, you'd have plot dice, and that can decide if it goes like that extra level of like hope and fear, like good or bad. And I wonder if like plot tokens, I mean, it doesn't sound anywhere near as cool though. No one wants to get plot tokens. No one wants to spend a plot token. So yeah, I don't know. I'm a little bit torn because it's one of those things that I don't have any issue with, actually. I haven't had any huge problems with players not getting fear or understanding it or like it negatively affecting their gameplay. But I know it's out there because I've heard enough other people say that their players are struggling with it. So, but part of me just thinks it's just like, just give it a bit more time. Like, they'll get used to it and it's not actually a problem. It's just, they just need to, it'll click eventually. And I think there's a lot of people out there trying to solve this fear issue when the solution is just read the player principles again and the GM principles and give it a little bit more time to kind of click. Prime example, PCs are getting stomped by a dragon. I spend fear to say a nearby house collapsed and it opens a narrow tunnel for escape. Now they have a choice. Do we want to hold our ground or leg it? Yeah, it doesn't always... Yeah, you can use it. It's interesting, right? Because you can definitely use fear to... You're just changing things. That's how I see fear. Yeah, it's not necessarily even adding complications to the story. That's kind of the main use of it. But it's if you've got a scene and you want to actively use your GM God mode, right? If you want to go into creative mode and just like make something happen, you can just use the fear as an excuse to do that. Nico, an additional benefit is that our current editor, Stories by Alan, is a wizard with DaVinci. So the new episodes trim a lot of fat and a lot of cool animations on screen info. Nice. Okay, yeah. Dude, a good editor can absolutely come in clutch. Is purple tree leaf edible or smokable? That would be a hope and fear roll. I think that would be a fate roll to find out. Play to find out, as they say. It's meant to be a foot in the door to Daggerheart's more collaborative style. When I ran it, they made the trees bioluminescent, and that impacted the final fight. So that, yeah, that's so cool. That is so, so cool. Bonus reaction, have you ever been a Daggerheart PC? I have not played the game. I've not played it. It's upsetting. It's upsetting, I know. I've only GM'd. So, it is what it is. But honestly, even when I played D&D, I barely played D&D. I've mostly just DM'd. It's a curse. Or because the trees are purple, the bandits are suddenly all clad in purple and the players can camo themselves as well for advantage. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the questions aren't really there. Okay, the collaborative questions is actually the second thing that I've heard the most kind of like, not complaints about, but newer players and GMs struggling with. That collaborative question, back and forth conversation, people struggle with a lot. And the number one thing I've heard people struggle with a lot is fear. And just in general, the concept of fear and when to use it and how to use it. But the questions one is really interesting because all it's doing is opening up that conversation. That's all it's doing with the questions. So you're just like, what do you think about this scenario. What would be cool to put in this scenario? But you can't just ask that because it's way too open-ended. And some players might be okay with it, but I think a lot of players just need a little bit more focus, and that's where just focusing in on those questions comes in. Everything edible is smokable if you try hard enough. I mean, anything's edible and smokable if you try hard enough, right? I assume it was meant to set a vibe aesthetic. I liked it. I ran Sablewood in Vagabond recently. Oh, how was that? Fear is simply tokenized narrative ink. You shouldn't even think of fear as pending bad stuff, but the fear bar is a measure of the story tension meter. Interrupt tokens, terror tokens. I'm going to kill you for your bad roll, bad player, bad tokens. That's a good one. That's a good name for them, actually. Just rolls off the tongue. Every player's contribution adds to the scene. Sometimes I spend a fair to add a complication, but I describe it partially like someone intervenes and let them fill in that blank about adversity. Yes. Nico, I've made this point pretty often, but a lot of people are quick to complain about aspects of the game and try to change them after a single session. There is... I kind of want to look into it more. There is a lot of pushback against Daggerheart in general, even from people playing it. And my current theory is simply that there are a lot of people out there who are playing Daggerheart when they would rather be playing another game, but they're forced into playing Daggerheart, either by their players or by their GM, by their friend group. And those people just find excuses to not like the game so that they can convince the rest of the group to go back to playing D&D or Draw Steel or something like that. I know for a fact that there are... This is going to sound anti-TTRPG player in general, so don't cancel me. But I know for a fact that there are players out there who simply don't like contributing to a game. They don't want to put any real work into it. Like they signed up to whatever game so that they could hang out with their friends and maybe roll some dice. And for those people, I don't think Daggerheart is the system for them. I think, Monopoly is. I think, I don't even think TTRPGs in general, I think they should just have a board game night if it's just that. I think there's a lot of people out there like that. So they don't want to come up, they feel a lot of pressure on them when they have to answer questions or come up with things or add anything like that. And for those people, they don't want that pressure. And that's what fear does. It puts pressure on every single roll because it might generate fear, which could do something else. And they don't want to think like that. And I think that's where a lot of the stuff comes from. Honestly, it sucks to say, but obviously Daggerheart is not for everyone. And I think there's a lot of people out there who are playing it who would rather not be. And this is kind of what comes out in the wash there. But they forget that it took more than one session to get used to D&D in the first place. Yeah, it probably took them 6 months. I hate that my chat just keeps resetting. I just got here, but had a conversation with my friend last night about fear. We were talking about how it helps the GM enact twists without feeling wholly arbitrary, since you have to spend something to do it. Yeah, there's those people, and then there's the power. I don't say power hungry like it's a bad thing, but there are GMs out there who play a lot of different TTRPGs, and they simply enjoy having a lot of control over the game and the narrative. Unlimited control, actually. And the second you put any kind of limit in place about how much control they have, they bounce off it. And that's understandable. That's understandable. But it doesn't mean the system's bad. It doesn't mean fear is bad. It just means that it's not the way they like to play these kind of games. So, what can you do? Phil, quick one. I tried to message you on Discord about mod things, just FYI. Is that urgent, Silence? But I'll check it after stream. I think the GMs don't give the players enough of a frame, and the players don't know how far they're allowed to contribute. You need to find that middle ground and let the players know they get a say in a story. Yeah, I think that's just solved by playing it more. I made a little document, which I'll pull up in a second, talking about all my actual thoughts on Fear, and I'd be interested to know if you guys agree with me in general about it. How would I handle ship-to-ship combat? Like a high seas naval ship fighting, because I've been trying to rack my brain. That's an interesting question, because I've been trying to think of an environment for that. It's an environment, I think. And because I'm writing a book right now that's like environments and adversaries from every single community. And I've not done the Seaborn community yet, but I will do. And when I do, I think it's coming up with that's very, very good. And I think just off the top of my head, without thinking about it too much, I would create the ships as kind of entities, as adversaries themselves almost, or as entities themselves. And they would have stress, right? That ties in as well, and HP. And yeah, I would come up with, there's a lot of fun stuff you can do with just hope and fear there as well. Because there's a lot not in your control, like the way the wind's blowing, the storms coming in, the way the water's moving. So, yeah, I'd have to think about it, but I there's so much there, in a way that I'm excited about. So I'm specifically talking about Daggerheart there, but I do a similar thing for D&D, to be honest. I would create ships as their own vehicle entity with HP and damage and stuff like that, and allow players to kind of like control different aspects of it, whether that is shooting cannons or steering on their go as like an action. Comedy fan, I've ran Daggerheart a couple of times, and the biggest criticism I have received is that they feel bad when them and another player tries to rally the spotlight at the same time. They try to get the spotlight at the same time. Yeah. That once again is just playing it a lot. The way that I always get around that it's the same as being out of combat. Because out of combat, people try and take the spotlight at the same time as well. And it's admittedly not the same, because you have more, like, you have an action and you're tracking resources a lot more within combat. And those things kind of exist outside of combat, but you're not as aware of them. You're just more aware of the mechanics when in combat. So I understand why people might not want to do that, but it's just something they'll get used to, I think. Oh, Fear tokens can be renamed My Turn Now tokens, yeah. Or just GM tokens, right? Something like that. But Fear is catchy. You should check out the Colossi of the Drylands mechanics, and I would run them like a Colossi. That's true, yeah, actually. That is a good point. Nico, on the topic of pushback, people complain about asking your players questions, but Matt Mercer is praised for asking their players, how do you do this, on a nat 20, which changes nothing mechanically. I think you'll find a lot of people, certainly in my comments, a lot of people are not happy with Matt Mercer in general. I hear way more criticisms of Brennan Lee Mulligan and Mercer and like the more popular DMs than I hear praises, to be honest. If they insist on acting at the same time, maybe nudge them to make a tag team attack and turn. Yeah. There's also, I say this a lot, and this is touchy. This is a touchy subject, but this is a safe space. If you have two players, it's one thing if two players are like, they both want to go at the same time, but they're both scared, so they let each other go first, and that stalls the game. The GM just can step in there and say, okay, you go first. You know? Charlie, you go first. Sarah, you go first. The GM can easily, if you see that happen, the GM just comes in and goes, boom, boom, sorted. The other way around is if you have two players trying to go at the same time and they're almost fighting over it, then that is so close to asshole behavior that's another conversation for the table. It's not That's not player principles at all. They should be trying to lift each other up, not trying to get in front of each other. And I think that's so many criticisms of systems, including D&D, including Daggerheart, anything like that I hear, or people throwing criticisms at GMs. It's the same even with like the Mercer effect or the Dimension 20 effect, where people are coming in with expectations of how the game's ran, and people like to blame the system, or they like to blame Matthew Mercer, or they like to blame this. And in reality, when you actually look at it properly, there's one dude being an asshole. There's one. Like if someone comes into your game and is like, I thought you'd be more like Matthew Mercer. I thought you'd be doing voices like Matthew Mercer. And then the whole community's like, yeah, Matthew Mercer did that. It's like, no, that guy's an asshole. That's one dude. That's a 3. I'm giving myself a fair for that. Thank you. Thank you, Still Cage. Yeah. As a middle ground between immediate effects that might feel like a punishment and doing something that's only narrative, you can also spend a fair to activate something in the background, and you don't even have to figure out what is in. Yeah. It's kind of just a button you can press to do anything, but you're showing your players that you're actually pressing a button rather than just like waving your hands and making it happen. A 7, that's another fair. Thank you. I've got to figure out how I want to spend these fair tokens, Huh? Those who criticize a perfect boy Brennan are wrong. Yeah. 14. Okay, that will take a fair away from me, I guess. Solid stuff. I like that. I've thought using fair for a timer that I don't know what it does or when it ends until I need it to mean something. Vicky, that's actually genius. I like the countdown where you're like, we'll figure out what happens when we reach it. We'll cross the bridge when we hit 1. You can even say that to your players. You can even be literally like, yeah, I'm going to start a countdown and something really, really bad is going to happen. And every time someone takes an action, it's going to tick down. And when it does, we'll figure it out. 13 is okay. I'll fair lost again. Okay, guys. Desperate to take the fair off me. Fair is definitely a lot more open-ended as a GM, which is great if you can think of different things you can do, but can feel lackluster if you can't. Yeah, the way I think about it is it's like money. I've talked about this in a video, but it's like currency. It's like I have a $10 note and I go into a store with the $10 note and the person behind the cash register sees that $10 note and says, that has value. And I'm like, it does have value. It's a piece of paper. It doesn't have any value, but we're just making a promise to each other that it has value. And I kind of see that in a way as what fear is. It's like, I can do anything I want. I can take golden opportunities as a GM. I can take GM moves whenever I see fit and do whatever I want. But I'm going to have this currency in front of us, and I'm going to tell you this has value, and I'm going to tell you that it's going to hold me back to some degree and allow me to kind of like keep the game more balanced. Really, it doesn't do anything. Really, we could play this game without it. I don't think it'd be as fun, but we're just kind of like, we're giving it power and value. And it's that promise between the players and the GM that everyone is going to respect it and use it wisely. That makes the whole thing work. That makes money work. That's how I kind of think about it. Mod thing's not urgent. Good. Voltis, as a middle ground between immediate effects that might feel like a punishment and doing something that's only narrative, you can also spend a fair to activate something in the background, and you don't even have to figure out what's in the moment. Yeah, I already read that. I already read that. But I should also say that I've used fear to attack my own adversaries sometimes. You know, if you're in a battle and you spend some fear to make the classic rocks fall from the ceiling, and the rocks are falling on the players, those rocks can also fall on the adversaries, and you can roll for the adversaries. And I wouldn't suggest accidentally giving yourself the final blow, but that way, if all the players roll well and avoid the rocks falling down, then the adversaries don't roll well, then that's like gonna benefit the players. So it doesn't always have to be like a negative for the players. The most diabolical way to use fear is hoard it until they go to the market or find a treasure chest. It's all fun and games until the treasure chest turns into a mimic hoard, or the town merchant is better at negotiating than they are. Still case you went almost a whole session without spending fear, then spent one fear of the session making an NPC stop answering questions because I was getting frustrated being harassed. Comedy fan, I'm still practicing my on-the-fly fear usage. I've used fear to have town guards turn a corner and see a crowd gathering. It's good, yeah. One of the players rolled presence to convince the guards to leave. Yeah. All right, well, I'll tell you what my view of fear is from, like... This is what I just threw together before stream. And it's just what I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit, about Daggerheart fear. And... specifically, this is being like addressed to people who are like saying that their players are really struggling with it, or as a GM they're struggling with it, and it's more just hopefully helping them understand. Because I think a lot of these people think they understand exactly what it is, and they just don't like it or whatever. But it's directed towards those kind of people, and it got me thinking. It's like, what value does fear have? Like, what problem is it trying to fix from, say, other games? And this is just me throwing notes on a piece of paper for this, just to get my thoughts across. And the first thing that I thought of there was, like, I think there is an issue in other games that, like D&D, where the GM has too much power and can go a bit power mad, and pretty much 95% of the like Reddit D&D horror stories I see are often caused. That's not true. It's not that much, but a lot of them are often caused by a GM just being a bit too power hungry and almost not knowing when to tone it down or sit back or stop, right? And they do things and they take it too far and all that stuff. So by having fear, you're kind of putting a limit on what the GM can do, and you're trying to, like, you're just holding them back a little bit. Now, the issue is that when a lot of people come into this, they don't see that it's limiting as far as limiting what a GM can do. They actually see it as, like, I have to use fear. It's not like enabling me. It's not letting me do things. I have to, like, use it in these weird ways. And yeah, I just think that's getting the wrong end of the stick with it. Oh. I saw my wife being mentioned. I can't find your original comment. Modest Movement. I believe Phil's wife is the one who manages his music. We had a stream the other day that focused on playlists and things. My idea was the 3 pillars of play, social, exploration, and combat, and that's a good idea. Then I have playlists for each. Was your conversation, Modest Movement, about my music I'm using for actual plays or for music I'm playing now? I also like the fear for minor inconveniences, like a critter steals your rations. Dude, the best use of fear, by far, the most useful fear that has genuinely made my games better in Daggerheart than other TTRPGs is when the players are being indecisive, or they're talking about things too long, or they're dealing with, like, they're just the pacing is slowed down and they're getting stuck on this one thing, you know, and it's time to move on, I'll spend a fear and say, I'm going to spend a fear now, and if I spend 3 of these fears, something bad is going to happen. You know, I start a countdown, and it makes them go, okay, we'll just do it. We'll just do it. We'll just go and do a thing. And it's so good for that. It's so good for that. Because I feel like you can't do that in something like D&D, really. If the players are umming and ahhing, thank you for the follow, Voltis. If the players are umming and ahhing and not knowing how to move forwards, and they're just like getting hung up on like making a plan, and it's in a moment where it's like, you guys just need to do something. If the GM just says, all right, do it now, like time's up, then that's a jerk. That sounds like a jerk. Or if the GM is like, a guard walks around the corner, it's like, you can't just do that. We were about to make our decision. That's unfair just because we're being a bit slow. Or if the GM is like, I guess identical to this, if they're like, okay, I'm going to count down from 5, and then you've got to make a decision. It puts a bad taste in my mouth as a GM. But with fear, you're like spending a currency that you can't, like, you're not going to get back. Or you will get back, but you're spending a currency that's limited. And it's fantastic for that. It's fantastic. Like, fear, I find fear incredibly useful. Fear also mediates between static dungeons and railroaded stories, providing back and forth between player and GM guided gameplay. I was asking about running games. Repost. I have a question for GM. How do you approach asking players to contribute more to keep things running smooth, making flashcards and inventory or harbor drawing maps? Yes. Yeah. You guys nailed it. I get my wife controls my music in my home games, and it is and it's something she enjoys doing. So I'll just start talking and be like, okay, you guys go into the graveyard, and suddenly my wife will be on Spotify and she'll, graveyard playlist play, and suddenly the music will switch as I'm talking, as I'm describing the graveyard. It feels really fun for me as a GM to just have that happen. And it's such a weight off my back to not have to worry about it at all. So I've kind of been spoiled by that. And then, that's the big thing, honestly. And then your question was to contribute more to things running smoothly. Honestly, I think the best thing that I've started doing was just being very open and honest with my players. So if I'm like, hey guys, I barely had time to prep this session. So if you can help by pushing the story forwards yourself, or make big moves, be decisive, just try. That goes such a long way. Or if I'm being honest, if I'm just like, okay, I've not planned for this, but let's make it up as we go along. Just my players knowing that I'm making up as I go along gives me the permission to be bad at improvising, right? So I can call the next NPC they meet Boblin the Third, and it's not an issue because we all know that I'm just literally making this up on the fly. And it's not that I've not prepped or I'm a bad GM. I'm a good GM. I'm improvising. So that kind of open communication. I know it's a lame thing to say, just communicate, but I guess strive to humanize yourself as a GM. Strive to let your players know when you're struggling, or when you're like, you just make stuff up on the fly and it just works. Like, letting your players know that you're just a dude who's just trying their best is so powerful to get them to help out, because they're like, I want to help out this dude that's trying his best. And that sounds obvious, but there are so many GMs out there who do the opposite. I don't know what the opposite of they dehumanize themselves. They put themselves in a position where they have to look like they know what they're doing at all times. And they go out their way to make it look like they're a very good GM. And a classic thing here is like, oh, if the players go into a place where you weren't expecting them to go, here's all this stuff that you can do to make it seem like you prepared it, right? It's like, oh, they go into a shop that I didn't plan. It's fine. I have my list of names. I have this, and this, and I'm going to just pull from all that stuff. And my players are going to be like, oh, wow, you prepared for that even? You're so good. It's like, don't do that. There's no need. You don't have to look like a really good GM. Because when you look like a really good GM, they're not going to try and help you because you have it all under control. And that's a bit of a hot take. Like, you know, don't strive to be a good GM. I guess it's like, don't strive to hide the many aspects of GMing from your players is what I'm getting at. And just be honest with them. Like, be okay with being like, oof, that combat was hard. I had so many people I was controlling and I was sweating and like, you look like you were getting bored and that freaks me out. Like, say that. Don't just be like, another combat done. Because no one wins from that. No, like, it's just an ego thing, I think. Nah, you all go to silence. We all love Boblin the Goblin. Yeah, who doesn't love Boblin the Goblin? Having fear has allowed you to have more fun in combat as a GM because you actually get to try to hurt your players and they're going to try to hurt people back. But I have a harder set rule compared to D&D, feels more open. I think it's just changed the perspective, not because mechanics are better. Yeah. Well, let's go back to my my document here. So I think D&D and other TTRPG GMs are too powerful. I think that's why fear is kind of created to like just give them a little bit of limitations. I also think it's there to be more engaging for the GM. It turns it into a bit more of a game for the GM, which I think is huge. It does feel like a little bit more of a resource management game. And I enjoy that a lot as a GM personally. It makes it feel like I'm playing rather than just running. Builds tension with the players. I think this is a smaller one. I don't know if it's the intention of it, but it's certainly, if I have a lot of fear and the players are like, oh, he's got a lot of fear, like that can be a good thing. Or if a player misses and I get a fear, that level of like, oh, I gave him a fear. I know it can be bad if it's stopping them from doing things, but in general, it's fun to have that kind of negative feeling. Like it can build suspense, it can build tension. But I think that's necessarily just something I've noticed that I like. It also lets the GMs know when to make moves and when not to. I think this one is actually huge. If you are playing the game and you have full fear and you feel like you always have a lot of fear, it probably means that you should be impacting the story more and just adding more complications in general. Equally, if you are often low on fear and you are like spending fear and you feel like you are very low on fear all the time, it probably means you're impacting the story too much. You're going too far. You're throwing too much at the story and at your players. There's too many twists and turns, and that you need to take your foot off the brake a little bit and just like let things kind of neutralize. Equally, if this is a really casual session, then you probably don't mind having a lot of fear. But if this is like the end of a campaign session, it's a big moment, and you want this to be like a crescendo, like a climax, then you want to have very little fear because you won't be spending it a lot. So it's very useful for that because it's good because pacing is so hard to manage in TTRPGs. Like it's so hard as a GM to get like an outside look at the game, this 3-hour game, and be like, am I pacing this well? But the fear, it does that for you. And then it takes some stress off GMs, enabling them. This is also one of my favorite things about fear, is that I genuinely did not like in other game systems where I would have an idea that would royally like kind of screw over the players, but it's such a good idea and it would make for a better story. And you can still do this in Daggerheart, you just take the golden opportunity. But you know, if the players finally finally meet like the king of this nation, and they're talking to them and they like the king and they finally reach this thing and I want to throw a complication in and I want an assassin to attack and try and like they see a throwing knife fly through the air at the king. If that's just another game where I just decide to do that as a GM, it can feel like it's like, why did you just do that? You know, it's annoying. Like you didn't have to do that. But if I spend a fear to do it, it just really, it takes off some of that. It might just be a me thing that feels this, but it works for me. It takes off some of that pressure and it enables me and allows me to do it. Like, I'm just like, yeah, I spent a fear. And if players are like, why did you do that? I say, well, I had the fear. So I did it. Kind of thing. I like spending fear on things I was just going to do anyway, but when you make things worse and spend a fear on it, it adds more impact. And yes, exactly. Ask my players about them getting their butts handed to them by a juvenile flicker fly. Those juvenile flicker flies, no joke. Those flicker flies are not balanced. They killed it and started to talk about going deeper into the dark forest. I spent a fear and narrated, what do you notice about this creature? Then told them based on what you know, this has to be a baby. And where the babies are, you have adults. They noped right out of there in like 2 seconds flat. Yeah. There's nothing that says I can't have a giant brute pick up a player and use them as a flail against the others. They don't like it, then spend a hope to make an action roll to break free. My players love the strategy of combat, so if they can drain you of your fear and watch you switch to a defensive style of play, they feel really good. Whereas a GM, I finally get to strategize a bit more and be compared to just bursting down a wizard. Yeah. That, I mean, I think I talk about this here. Like, why do some players not like it? Like, why do some GMs and players not like fear? And I think the main reasons are they don't trust the GM, right? And they're feeling like the GM will punish them if they have too much fear. If you give the GM an opportunity, they'll punish them. We talked about this earlier. It also just gives action rolls more weight and pressure. And some people are like, I just want to roll. And it's like, well, if you roll and try and do this thing, I could get a fear and there could be a complication, which I really like. And a lot of players like, but some players just don't want that. And that goes back to more casual, not casual players, but people who aren't as narrative driven. And they just want to play more of a game that there's not much narrative to. It's just like, I just want to like succeed and get through this section and then maybe fight a monster and win and then level up. And yeah, people like that probably won't like it because they'll never want to roll, right? The other reason players don't like it, they feel like they're more likely to win or lose depending on how much fear is in the game. And we obviously know that once again is from people who are misunderstanding narrative TTRPGs in general, because you're not going to win or lose. Yeah, same thing. They don't understand how collaborative story TTRPGs work, which sounds patronizing, but it's fair. And finally, they actually want more competitive games. Like Daggerheart might just not be the game for them, and I think that's fine. I think we should start normalizing the fact that some people just won't like this game. It's not a problem with the game. The thing about this stuff is when players are like, I don't want to roll because I don't want to give the GM fear that they could then use against me in the future, or I don't want to roll because something bad could happen. That is, I think, from people who need to, and in fact, I say it here, what are the fixes? And the first one is have players try GMing the game. Because once a player GMs, it becomes very, like, it changes their perspective completely and they'll understand it. But in general, I think, and I don't think it's necessarily that they don't understand it. It's their choice. They choose to look at these games in a certain way because they like more competitive games. So they, like, ignore that. They understand. They know that the GM has unlimited power, right? Even in Daggerheart, they know that. But it's like they suspend their disbelief so much so that they think they are fighting the GM a little bit. I've had players like that, and they just enjoy it. So they, even though they know, they enjoy it. And if I'm a GM playing with these people, and I say, like, just so you know, like, I'm on your side and that stuff, they're like, yeah, sure you are. And it's like they're just like, they're tricking themselves, and they won't take any logic or reason. But the reality is, if a GM wants to kill your character, they can just kill your character. Like, if a GM wants to beat you or win, they can just do that. If a GM wants to get you very close to death every single combat, a GM can just do that. They have the power, they have the tools. They, like, it's not even, it doesn't make any sense when people are like, oh, I don't want to give the GM more power. It's like, the GM has power. They're good. They can, whatever you're scared they're going to do with the extra fear, they could do that without the fear. Like, it's not a thing. So I do think for a lot of people, either getting them to, like, understand that somehow, and the best way is, like, playing, like, GMing the game, or GMing any TTRPG that's narrative driven, will just fix that right up. It's just, it really will make them be like, oh, that's not what the deal is here. Like, the GM is on my side. The GM is trying to collaborate with us to tell a story here. The other fix, I don't think I agree with this. You guys can tell me. But I wonder if hiding the fear tracker would even work. So that they can still hear. You can still say, I get a fear when that happens or whatever. But if they don't have a visual of how much fear you have, will that make things easier? Because it's not staring in their face. Now, I think this goes against, like, the trust that Daggerheart has between the GM and the players. So I don't like it personally. But maybe some tables might find use in not showing the fear tracker. A classic one is just have the players look through the player and GM principles, you know? Being very transparent about how you spend fear as a GM is also key. Don't just spend fear and then something bad happens all the time. Constantly give a reason for it. So you might be like, I'm going to spend a fear here, and reinforcements are going to arrive because this combat is feeling too easy, and I think it's going to make it more interesting, especially if the reinforcements are a different like allegiance to the people you're already fighting, because then it's going to turn into a three-way fight. It's more interesting. And if you let your players know why you're doing this stuff, tying it back into making the game more fun and interesting and making the story more interesting, then that will go a really long way to allowing your players to trust that you are going to make good decisions with the fear. And you don't always have to. Sometimes you can be a jerk, right? Because the fear allows it. And sometimes you can just be like, I'm going to spend a fear and make this annoying thing happen to you, so you mark as stress, just to knock your resources down a little bit. Or, I think you rolled so badly in the last scene that I'm going to spend a fear right now and say that, you know, it's something bad happens to you. And I think you are allowed to do that as well, but when you mix it in a lot with the fear that's being spent and the transparency of telling a good story, I think that's a huge, huge help. Let the players occasionally choose how the fear is spent. I think this is really good. Someone, I don't know if they'll be in chat. I think it was either someone in chat who was commenting on one of my videos. I think it's so smart. And that is simply, I think the system they had was like once per session, a player can spend fear to impact a scene, but it's got to be within the spirit of spending fear. Like the GM still needs to sign off on it, but a player might be like, I'm going to spend a fear to make this happen. And the GM's like, that's good, go for it. But I also just like the idea of maybe not tokenizing it like that, like once per session they can do this, but just opening it to them a lot and being like, hey guys, I want to spend a fear because I've got a lot of fear. What things could happen? You know, do a little thought shower, go around the table. Like, what's the worst things that could happen right now? And all your players will be like, oh man, that's a good question. Well, my character's backstory has this in it, or my character hates this, or my character doesn't like this. And it gets them thinking about their character, it immerses them more, and it, you get to see, they get to, you know, help and give you ideas for stuff. And then you can choose one of those things. Or if no one really gives you anything good, you can just like be like, you know what, I'm going to make this happen instead. So kind of having that writer's room vibe, I think is a really good way of like, especially if you can't think of a way to spend fear either, you can just put it on them, which is great. And then have a hard conversation, because if one cog in the machine is jammed, the machine just doesn't work. And this was like, I've kind of said it already that like Daggerheart's not for all players. Certainly the way you play it might not be for all your players. And it's such a hard like conversation and topic to bring up, because there are a lot of tables out there that are like, oh, all my friends are welcome at my table. And that's true, and if that's true, that's fine. And if you guys are having fun with it, go for it. But there is a reality that I have found as well, which is that if one player, say you have 5 players, if you have one player who likes to play in a different way to everyone else, or who would rather be playing draw steal and is kind of like dragging their feet a little bit around some of the mechanics in Daggerheart that are unique to Daggerheart for whatever reason, if you have one player who's not like actively helping and collaborating and playing the game in good faith, and it doesn't have to be, they don't have to actively be trying to do anything in bad faith, right? They're not doing anything wrong. They just, I guess, not as enthusiastic as everyone around the table. It can just be a very small thing as just being enthusiastic about the game. That one player can like slow down the game so much. It's like people on a highway and there's an accident and one car stops to look at the accident, and then all the traffic is slowed down for like 30 minutes down the back. And it's just a one little thing for that one person, but it's had like so many issues. All right, Kat, see you in a bit. And like, yeah.
All right, this was in my room.
Oh.
Mai was playing with it. Also, I'm going to yoga now.
Yeah, I saw it. Have fun. See you in a bit. One of my cats has stolen this mini and I guess taken it up some stairs and was playing with it in one of the other rooms. God damn it. Don't leave minis out. Don't leave minis out. So yeah, if you just have a player who like honestly just doesn't really gel with Daggerheart and doesn't like Daggerheart, there's a world where you have a conversation with them and kind of like say, maybe this game's not for you. Maybe in a few months I'll play another game, a different game that we can try with you, but whatever. Because the second you remove that kind of like, that cog that's not spinning as well as the others, oh my God, the whole game becomes so much easier, so much smoother. It's crazy. Once again, no one's done anything wrong. It really is just like, I don't know. It's I'm not saying kick players out because they're not playing the game exactly how you like to play it, but just be aware that some players out there just won't like this game, and it's a tough one. It's a tough one. Oh, that's fun. Letting players spend fear is neat. It's kind of similar to opening up the fear outcome of a role to play. Yes, dude. The new the Iron Mouse Matthew Mercer Daggerheart game, the live one. Don't recommend watching it unless you're a fan of like the players, because it's 7 hours long and it's live, so you get to see everything. But Matt Mercer does something really interesting in it, where every time a player rolls with fear, during combat at least, when they succeed with fear, I should say, Matt will say, okay, you come in, you hit, roll for damage, and then they'll roll for damage, and then I say, okay, describe to me how your character uses his sword to attack this guy, but then also tell me how it goes a little bit wrong for you. Tell me how an unforeseen complication happens from this fear. And I was genuinely impressed with the players because they would all be like, they would all describe what their characters were doing in a really visual, like almost cinematic way. Like, and it would mostly just be stuff like, okay, I go to stab this guy, and I do stab him, but he's like much bigger than me, right? And he falls down on top of me. So now I'm stuck underneath this person. Or someone else is like, you know, I do a flying kick and kick the person in the face, but lose my balance. And, you know, when I fall, I kind of just face plant, and everyone sees it. And then they're like, oh yeah, we laugh at that or whatever like that. And like, I'm not necessarily, I don't think that's how I would like to GM. And this is where GM styles are going to be very different in Daggerheart, which is nice. I think I like having a bit more control over that stuff, but about complications and things like that. But there is something about if I just couldn't be bothered, if I had low energy and I just wanted to put in as little work for that session, there's like an autopilot there, which I really like. Where, because you're just asking the players to roll, then you're asking them what happens, and then you're asking them, you know, what they think could happen next, and you kind of don't have to do anything. You really are just a referee at that point. But yeah. Mercer has a new Daggerheart actual play. It was on Twitch. It was a few weeks ago now. On Iron Mouse's channel. I believe it was called A Night in Daggerheart. And it's like, the players are hired security guards of a magical museum with tons of artifacts. And it's like a night at the museum kind of thing. And like, I think people try to break in and rob stuff, and the artifacts start going off, and it all turns into hell. But it's worth checking out if you're interested in that kind of thing. Look at bonus battle low energy autopilot gem. I kid though, yeah. No, that's not what I meant. But certainly, it's a style of play that I think some GMs will really enjoy, and some players will really enjoy. Where it really does just take a lot of emphasis off the GM. I saw a little bit, meant to go back and listen to it. I only watched like a little bit of it, and by a little bit of it, I mean hours of it. But it's so long. It's the Cats mini now. You make a new one, dude. They'd have all the minis. I'd have no minis left. Do I have any tips in prepping for someone who is constantly hosting sessions that run around 6 to 8 hours bi-weekly? I'm used to it though, but curious what tips you have. Do I have any tips for prepping for someone who is constantly hosting sessions? I take it you just enjoy running long sessions? But bi-weekly, every 2 weeks, right? So it'd be the same as just for someone who has a weekly game that lasts 3 hours. But I would just say, split the prep up so you're not doing it all at once. Do half the prep 1 week, do half the prep the next week. I don't know. I've never ran a game 8 hours long before. I presume I would have to rethink a little bit, like story structure, about like the pacing of that, because you can't just stitch 2 sessions together. I guess you can, like a double parter, but yeah, that's an interesting one. I think my go-to would be a level of like, okay, we're gonna have a combat early on, and then we're gonna have a combat at the end, and then we're gonna Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd have to rethink story structure for such a long session. But as far as like actual prepping for it, if it's Daggerheart, I would say try not to prep as much anyway. Just follow their fiction, which, just play to find out what happens, and just save yourself a lot of time. Unless you like prepping, of course. If you enjoy preparing for a game, if you enjoy the world building, if you enjoy all that stuff, then just do what brings you joy. I mentioned Draw Steel for comparison, but I don't know much about the system. What does that system excel at compared to Daggerheart? I mentioned it. Honestly, I mentioned it because I was going to say D&D again, and I don't want to be like the dude who only compares things to D&D. I've not played Daggerheart. From what I know of Daggerheart, I've not played Draw Steel. From what I know of Draw Steel, I think it's just crunchier. I think it's like a crunchier D&D. So, it's if Daggerheart is on the other side of the spectrum, which is where it's less crunchy, and there is like it's way more open for, I guess, improvisation and rule of cool and just telling a good story together. I think, from what I understand, it could be wrong. Draw Steel is a game that gives the GM and players a ton of support, and the mechanics kind of can lead to really cool outcomes and stories. I've heard it's a very good game, so yeah. I think it's just on the other side of D&D. That's the spectrum of like, almost like Plotter to Panther, or like, I don't think Daggerheart's anywhere near rules light. So it's the wrong term to say rules light, but you know what I mean, like that kind of like more flowy rule system versus more strict rule system. Mr. Loco, 6 to 8 hour sessions bi-weekly sounds like a lot, both for the GM and players. Happy to hear you say you're used to it. Yeah. I mean, bi-weekly, I presume you mean once every 2 weeks, not twice a week, because that's crazy. Cats being a natural disaster is a homebrew rule. I've seen one or two. Yeah. I had a hard session where everyone at the table was narratively dry. Yeah. Once again, this is something I've not been at a table where like no one wants to collaboratively storytell, right? So I don't know what it's like, and I don't know what I would do. I think my go-to would be actually just asking the players to roll for stuff more. In Daggerheart, you don't ask them to roll that often. Just let things happen and follow the story. But with a table where the players don't really want to push the story along or do anything like that, and the way I prepped was in a way that was like very improvisational and would lean on them. Making them roll more just means they're going to roll with fear more often, and you can just follow that. Like that kind of will tell a story for you. It's like, okay, you guys have to go do this very simple task. Boom. There's a door in the way. Or you roll with fear trying to unlock the door. What could happen? Well, this happens. Oh, then you roll with fear while trying to do that. Then this happens. And you just let that kind of like tell a story. But it's a collaborative storytelling game. So if people are refusing to do it, it's one thing if people aren't used to it and don't really know how to, because you can kind of teach by playing the game. But if people are refusing to engage with the game in the way the game was designed, there's not much you can do. They're just not playing the game. It's like if I played, Call of Duty with someone and they were just like, hey, I want to get at the top of the scoreboard, but I don't ever want to fire my gun. And it's just like, okay, well, this isn't a game it's impossible. It's straight up impossible. You can't, this is not the game for you. Lucas and Jesus, both of you, been running a homebrew campaign with Daggerheart, and all my players say they love it over D&D, and I've been playing D&D for years. Nice. Yes, that's what you want. How are you finding it? Are you enjoying running it? Yeah. I think I've said this before, and I've played Daggerheart with not as many people as you may think. Let's say I've played it with 15 people at this point, right? It's mostly been the same people coming into the games over the course of the past year and more, in fact. And out of all of them, I would say, especially more the newer ones they played a little bit of D&D and they've gone to this, they prefer Daggerheart. And I've noticed, especially video gamers like Daggerheart, because it's kind of got a bit more gaming energy. You've got a hotbar, you've got buttons you can press, and the abilities like the cards, and they kind of the language speaks to them more, and the resources as well. But also fans of just books, readers, people on Book Talk, also seem to like Daggerheart more as well, because it's the narrative side of it, right? But I have had one person who bounced off it completely. I have had one person out of them who have just been I do not like this game. And it was fair enough. Okay, cool. And that was level of I'll let you know if I start playing D&D again. Jump on, let's do it. And then the in-between, the vast majority of people who have played both D&D and Daggerheart and other systems at this point like both. I think my wife, for example, does not mind. I think what she gets out of the games, she gets out of both games, which is I get to create a cool character, I get to role play, I get to tell a story, we get to do some combat, and we get these heroic moments. She can get that from both games, so she doesn't mind which game she plays. And I think a lot of people will be like that as well. And it's good. For me, the biggest thing about Daggerheart, if I have a player, I don't think it matters too much to the players, really. I don't think it's a huge thing. I don't think there's any players out there who are genuinely I absolutely love, apart from there are a few. Well, it's more just they don't like change, and they don't want to learn a new system, and they don't want to put the effort into understanding it. But I think a lot of players who enjoy D&D will just enjoy Daggerheart, and vice versa. I think the biggest difference is the GMing. And for me, I just prefer GMing Daggerheart by a wide margin for a few different reasons. One is the prep involved, way less. I just don't really think about it with Daggerheart. The other thing is playing it it's a contradiction, but it's more fun and engaging because I'm playing to see where the story goes, and I'm improvising a little bit more with the dice rolls, and working with the players more to keep everything running smoothly. It's I'm kind of on it a bit more for that stuff. But then the other side of it is that I just kind of it's like being on a slide, and I'm just going with the motion, and I'm just letting go, and I'm just it's like the holding on gently thing in the books. I'm just free falling, and I'm happy, and it kind of feels like less effort. It's more effort and less effort at the same time. So, but then if I talk to another GM and they were I tried GMing Daggerheart, I just didn't like it, I much prefer this, I'd be fair enough. That makes sense. That I'm sure there are good reasons for that. Oh. What's the minimum viable prep for DMing Daggerheart? A list of fantasy names for NPCs, extra minis. You can just ask your players to name the NPCs. I've said this before as well. I prepped a game using just the prompts in the core rulebook for the one shot. I can't remember which page it is, but there's a page that tells you how to like do one shots, and it's like one page of prompts or 2 pages of prompts that you give to your players, and you build the world out together. And then I just used adversaries from the back of the book, whatever made sense at the time. So genuinely the only prep I did was pulling out the book. And knowing the book a little bit, you know, knowing what kind of adversaries are in here, knowing about that page. So like, but you could argue that's just like knowing the system. Like no one is like, oh, did you prep for, what prep do you do for Daggerheart? And no one's saying, oh, I learn the rules. It's like, no, you presume you know them. So and I'm not saying everyone would enjoy this or would want to do this, but I would be very comfortable GMing a game of Daggerheart right now, like without any prep. I'm not saying it would be good. I'm not saying like the story would be amazing. I'm not saying that it would blow my players away, but I could do it, you know? Let's go. Let's do it. Yeah, you're just making it up as you go along. Just go with like, I'd be asking the players like, what kind of game do you want to play? What kind of world would it be? That kind of thing. And then I just put it on the players. I would just put it on the players. Let's go, lol. I've tried to GM and DM you guys chat in the past, and I think it went okay, to be honest, but it's not fun to do for me. It's not fun to like GM without having anyone to actually physically bounce off, in general, unfortunately. You know that feeling you get when you are playing a game, when you're running a game, and you have that devil on your shoulder that's like, are they enjoying this? Are they enjoying the game right now? Is this fun for them? Maybe they're bored, right? We all have it a little bit. Imagine that, but imagine that for the 28 people in chat right now on YouTube, or the 15 people on Twitch. It's like worse. I'm just like, and I can see people leave. I can see people leave, and it's just, it tears me up. Shotgun for a bit. Go on, guys. What's the best class? Like, what class would you want to play? Class and subclass. Starting up my first Daggerheart campaign after a couple of one-shots. Any advice for running an Arctic campaign? Ideas for incorporating cold or ice mechanically? Not done it before, but my go-to Sinister Gnome is doing something with long rests. So if they aren't like near a fire, or if they don't have a proper structure around them, so they get cold, meaning that when they wake up the next day after the long rest, they automatically take a stress. Like no matter what, they get stressed. I would use stress in general as well. Like if you believe they're spending, I mean, this is a perfect use of fear, to be honest. If I had players and they were out in the freezing cold for a long time, and I just thought that maybe it might be an issue, I would spend a fear and give them a stress. Straight up. Or make them do a strength check or something. And if they fail, they take a stress from being out in the cold too long. I'd just do something like that. I wouldn't overcomplicate anything unless you enjoy doing that. But yeah. The heat countdown's really good, yeah. Xantus, that is good. Druid, lots of druids. That surprises me. Jazz, you find in person you need practically no prep time. It only takes time on VTT because of maps and dynamic lighting. Yes, I should say specifically no prep being like running a theatre of the mind. Like there's no tools. There's nothing you need for that kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah. But that's including like one of the most useful things in this book for me. And if you want to start collecting, like, you know, collecting documentation of stuff, I think environments are so good. So you can kind of just like, and if you have 3 environments that you like the idea of and you're playing with your players, of course you're playing with your players, but you're collaborating with your players and you don't really know what's going to happen next, but you have an environment there that's like the icy mountain pass or the ascent environment. So they're either going to be doing a dangerous mountain road situation, or they're going to be doing in fact, so going back to the Arctic stuff, there is like an ice style environment in the book, which is the mountain pass one. It's got some like things for like Arctic winds and stuff. So check that out. But yeah, having a few environments and then just saying to your players like, what do you think would be in front of you right now? And you can even just read off the environments and they can choose one. And that way you're kind of like, I don't know, if it's a no prep game, stuff like that can be useful. That is a 4. That is another fair for me. So thank you very much, Still Cage. I love to see it. Ranger is no joke. Cracked, like, unironically. Which Ranger, though? That's the question. I like how Daggerheart's Druid lets you jump between different forms and gives you good reason to use a variety of them. Sage is a great... I like Sage. I do like Sage. Phil, I just spent $400 on a new TTRPG. Was it the Dungeon Crawler Carl one, by any chance? A Hawkalypse. Hi. That's a fantastic name. Just give us your personal phone number and we'll all call in and play over the phone. That's a smart idea. Yeah, okay. Oh, and don't forget your personal address and mother's maiden name and blood type. I would, but like I always forget that. I've got like a way of remembering where I just have to read off my social security number first. And then I kind of unlocks the information for me, if that's cool. Their range's mark is broken as well as they get access to some super value domains. Also, have you seen the breakdown for the Dungeon Crawler Call mechanics? I know I mention it a lot, but it just seems so damn clever. No, I'm going to look into it. I might do like a... I want to get my hands on it, to be honest. I might reach out to them. See if I can get some early access to stuff. Last night I watched The Never Ending Story and it got me to create a swamp marshland environment. Yeah. Dude, I love making environments. It's so fun for me. Like, way more fun than any kind of homebrew in other systems. I want to try kit bashing classes, remixing their domain combos. I'd be interested to see how things churn out. I have a few files from the DDC TTRPG. Does it look good? Oh yeah, I did have a video I wanted to watch with you guys. And it's this Dungeon Craft video where he interviews a bunch of other D&D YouTubers about the state of D&D. And obviously that really interests me because I'm one of them. I'm not someone he interviewed, but these are my peers. And I would love to hear what people are saying because it's a complex world out there. So I'm gonna spend a fare to put on a video that I want to watch on stream. There you go. Now, I did a video not too long ago about. So Dungeon Craft did a video a while ago, and he's going to talk about here, which is, he said like, Dungeon Tube is dead, right? Because a bunch of people kind of quit and that kind of stuff. And I think it was also just a good title, thumbnail, hook that would get views as well. An interesting topic to talk about. And I made a video off that saying Dungeon Tube's not dead, it's evolving, it's changing. And the channels that were just straight up quitting and dying were channels that would not playing the YouTube game and not doing anything. It's like you click that video and the thumbnail wouldn't be like enticing, so it wouldn't get people to click. And then the first 30 seconds would be like a little bit boring, so people would just click off, right? And it's like, well, that's why it's not doing very well. It's not because Dungeon Tube's dying, it's just that these people aren't adapting, because they're often much older channels. And so I talked about that kind of thing, and I guess this is like his kind of follow-up to that now, and I'm intrigued. Phil, what are you spending fear on? Playing this video. We got a D&D Battle Pass before GTA 6. I've not really looked at this Battle Pass thing. I don't know. I've heard mixed things about it. I've heard people say it's the worst thing ever. I've heard people say it's not too bad. So I don't really know. All right.
Dungeon Craft. I'm Professor DM. A couple of months back, I did a hot take video in which I claimed Dungeon Tube was dying. Specifically, older channels are being squeezed out by the YouTube algorithm. Just last weekend, I had a great time at Green Dragon Fest in Knoxville, Tennessee, and I asked some of my fellow YouTubers what they thought. Here's what they said.
Great, so maybe I shouldn't start a D&D rebrand on my YouTube. Absolutely, don't worry about it. This is all not a problem. D&D's tube is not dying at all. In fact, recently I've seen more smaller channels get a lot of success. I've been quite jealous, and I've been overtaken by smaller creators as well. So it's definitely pretty healthy. It's just you've got to play the YouTube game to get anywhere, and then you have like Kickstarters from YouTube creators that make $11 million. So I think it's healthy. It's healthy. I'm joking, it's already scheduled to post. Nice.
Dungeon Tube is changing, not dying. I really think it's just due to stuff that we both talked about, how D&D, the role-playing game hobby as a whole, has kind of moved past this huge surge of people who all at the same time needed advice on how to play.
Yeah. And I think what Bob's talking about here is actually like 10 years ago. There was like this initial like boost. And I wasn't around. I was alive 10 years ago. I was 27. I was a full-blown adult. But I wasn't like I wasn't like a YouTube person. I barely touched YouTube. I didn't know any of this stuff. But I'm presuming, so at the time, 10 years ago, I'm presuming 10, 15 years ago even, that no one had a place to go and just like, I guess, find videos and entertainment and educational stuff. And then a bunch of creators like appeared on YouTube and there was no competition. So they just did really, really well on there. And I think that was the time when it was like every week you could just do a DM video of how to do this or how to do that. And some of those people survived. I think Matt Coville is one of those people. I think Ginny D is one of those people. But they adapted and they changed, and their content looks very, very different than what it did back then. I mean, maybe Matt Coville doesn't look too different. He kind of just like, he honed it and he just like perfected that kind of video. But he's very good at making that kind of video. And also he changed how he makes money and created a whole business out of it. That was very different.
And so today, while there are still always new people coming into the hobby, there's just way more of a desire for video content on tangential parts of the hobby. Because they already know the rules, or if they don't know them yet, they can find a video about these rules from a couple years ago that we put out. And the big ones. We got Colwell who covered it 10 years ago. So I think there's just way more people looking for new games, or even just ways that you can put a twist on the stuff that they already know.
I think I will say here as well, I don't think it's so much that people are looking for twists on the games they already know, or even new games or anything like that. I actually think it's the way they're ingesting content. And this is from the mechanical side of YouTube as well. I think what people are looking for is unique, entertaining storytelling, and I guess just different. They don't want to hear stuff they've already heard before a million times. So just different takes on things and different storytelling approaches. I look at someone like Pointy Hat and I'm like, yeah, what he's saying is very good, but how he's saying it, there's nothing else in D&D tube space like this. And if something tried to come up and try and be like that, it wouldn't do as well, because Pointy Hat's too big. Like, no one's going to go watch this other thing. So it's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to find unique angles and different ways of doing things that other people aren't really doing, and that haven't really been done before, because that's how YouTube works now. Certainly, just from like I mentioned before, from a click-through rate, like getting people to click on your thumbnail, you need a really good idea. You need a really interesting video idea that makes people curious. And what I'm learning, it's taking me longer than I would care to admit to really learn, is people like transparency as well. So I think people in the YouTube space, viewers, are getting very sick of sensationalism and click-through, and clickbait and drama and rage bait. And finding that balance of getting like a very curiosity-driven hook, I think Dardy does it really well, where it's like, oh, I want to know what this video is about, but I don't know what this video is about, you know? I think that's a very hard skill set to get. And I think the people who understand that quick, because I still don't get it, people who get it quick are the ones who like find insane growth early on. And it's kind of got nothing to do with the content almost. I mean, all these people who are doing well are like fantastic creators and fantastic people and do well, but it's packaging a lot of the time on YouTube.
I think that it is fundamentally changing. But if 5th edition remains...
Division Master is another channel with very distinct style. Exactly. When I first saw a Deficient Master video, because I think we came up around, I think I had my channel for a few months, and then he created his, and I watched his channel and I thought, God damn it, this is going to blow up. This is going to do very well. Because where else can I watch this? I looked at my content, and my content was looking at GM masters like Matthew Mercer and Brennan Lee Mulligan. GM masters? Game masters, famous ones. Because there was no one else really doing that at the time. Now, unfortunately, if I can be so bold, a bunch of people have been inspired by my content, and you can get that stuff from other people, which is fine, because I stole that from other niches of looking at experts in that kind of fast-paced, listicle way. But also, I've made so many of those videos that I just don't think people care that much anymore about them. So I now have to adapt and find another unique angle of a way to make videos that I enjoy making and entertain or educate. Because unfortunately, I'm just a white dude with a beard talking about TTRPGs, and there's thousands of us. So figuring out that like unique angle is so important.
It's the biggest system, and it's probably going to remain the biggest system on Dungeon Tube for a while. But what I've seen more and more from Dungeon Tubers is willingness to explore other systems, especially things like the OSR, and integrating them into the games that they're playing. I recently did an interview with people like Dothy from Mystic Arts and Efficient Master and James Intricasso, and one of the things they had in common was that they were venturing outside of the normal 5e space and looking at other mechanics, other styles of play, and becoming much more open about finding the things there that.
At least I'm not a ginger. I think some people would argue that I am. Though I do think my hair has been going darker with age.
Were valuable and useful for the kind of games they wanted to play, and just porting them over into what they were doing.
Efficient Master.
Hey, Professor.
Is it dying?
Who's in the same room?
Well, I think Dungeon Tube it's doing a little bit of both. Even before I got started 2 years ago, it was...
Now, I don't know if this is true, because I've tried to play around with it, and I've seen other people play around with it, and I think Deficient Master plays around with it as well. And it's a shame, because it's the most fun kind of content I like making. And I've had some success with it, and other times not. And that is pure storytelling. You would think it would be something that, like, I mean, done well. Maybe I'm just not doing it well. But you think it would go down well with, like, the TTRPG space, because it's storytelling, right? So when I made videos like, can I become, like, a best-selling author on Drive-Thru RPG, I thought that was going to do so well. It did not do well at all. I'm glad I made that video. It was very rewarding for me. But it had like a good hook, a good premise, and I think it was a good story. And I see Deficient Master do story as well, but he does it in like games. Like, can I turn this other thing and put a D&D twist on it? Then can we watch an actual competitive game happen? It's like a challenge thing, right? And Power Word Spill also did the fantastic video where he, I have to believe it was inspired by my video. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe just great minds think alike. Where he did a thing where it was like, if he doesn't get so good at making TTRPG battle maps, digital ones, and sell a certain amount by the end of the month, he would shave off his mustache, right? And I'm like, that's fantastic. That is such great storytelling, because we want to watch it. We want to find out, A, how he's going to improve so we can learn about map making. B, we want to see like if he succeeds, and C, are we going to see if he like loses his mustache or not? And he has great storytelling throughout that. And that is a video that I think it still will blow up for him. I think it will still blow up for him. I hope it does, because it's so good. And it just didn't, I think it did okay, but it didn't take off in the way that I thought it would. And I still believe that this kind of like storytelling, like I'm going to try and do this thing within this realm, and let's learn something about the game while we do it, is like the way forward. But we'll see. It's something I still want to play with. Have you guys seen Tabletop University? Video style is very much like a filmmaker style video, and it makes me so jealous because it's so good. I'll have to check that out. The hands bit, yeah. It felt like your same video concept for higher stakes. Yeah, I mean the mustache, right? Huge, big stakes. Willow Wares includes a short story in most of her videos to show how the new game thing she's offering can be used. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. All right.
It's changing drastically. When I was watching as a fan, first and foremost. It was people like you, it was people like DM Scotty, I think of like Runehammer, and where I was getting all of my GM advice, I was getting all of my crafting advice. When I purposely started my channel, I had to go in with this mentality of I can't just do that because I will just get lost in the crowd. I had to come out with just at least a new concept. Even this concept is what it was my idea, and it honestly was inspired by Ben Milton from Questing Beast. So
He has really good hands.
he does a really good hands. I really admire his hands. The question I always ask for people that are inspired by D&D YouTube or tabletop YouTube and want to do this themselves is, what is your goal in this space? For a lot of people, it's that Matt Colville arc of, you build up an audience, you provide value, and then you make a product, you make a game, you make something of your own, and you offer that to people. And now he has his own company. He's doing that full time. He got to leave his normal day job doing that now.
Doing very well.
Yeah, doing very well. And there are other people that have been
Very
able to
well.
mimic that process. I mean, Kelsey Dion, Matt Runehammer, and Ben Milton, have all kind of done their own versions of that in various levels of success.
Well, I'm hoping that formula works again because I'm going to be launching my own tabletop role-playing game this summer, Deathbringer. Deathbringer is fully compatible with Shadow.
Well, go check out Deathbringer. Fortunately, my ADHD compels me to skip.
Link in the description.
I've been changing. Say that it is changing. I don't think it's dying. I think it's always been changing. YouTube as a platform is constantly challenging and testing what people want to see and what you
It's a roller coaster of emotions.
can kind of be successful making, I guess. And by that, I mean what, our holy algorithm who art in heaven decides to show to anyone. And we're all sort of at its mercy.
I think that as far as the YouTube sphere goes, no, it is changing. People are finding their different branches of this hobby now, and the YouTube sphere is adapting to that. Ever since the OGL crisis, I think a lot of people are trying out a bunch of different stuff, and I like that we are playing a lot of different games to suit a lot of different tastes instead of making...
the OGL crisis genuinely was a big problem for YouTube in general, because I think it trained both creators and audiences to seek out and look for injustices and drama and things they can rally together against subconsciously, because for creators it was easier content to make and it was very profitable, and for viewers, I mean, look, what an awful time to be a D&D fan, the OGL stuff, but also what an amazing time because the whole community they came together to battle a big bad, and I think a lot of people kind of liked that feeling, rightly so. It was nice, but now it means that a lot of people are just looking for big bads. They're on the prowl, not out of malice, not on purpose, but they're just that was a good time. Maybe we find another big bad. It's also just fun. Drama and stuff's fun. And the OGL just kind of brought that stuff in and made it more acceptable. And to this day, what that kind of that time for YouTube has done is still affecting thumbnails and titles and all that jazz. The whatever scandal just got worse.
I think that DungeonTube is changing. I think actually interest in TTRPGs as a whole is growing, but as the diversity in types of games and different ways to approach playing them increases and knowledge of what's out there increases, that maybe views are going down because it's not as focused as there was D&D and Pathfinder and these few well-known things versus this plethora of options and kind of specialties that people might be interested in, very niche types of TTRPGs. So I think that views are maybe fracturing but not dying.
I think that DungeonTube has become saturated.
I'm very surprised no one has mentioned shorts. I think nothing has affected DungeonTube and the general D&D content creation space more and certainly since I've been around, since like YouTube Shorts in general. And I think if you asked newer players coming in now, especially younger people, who their favorite like D&D content creator is, if they have one, they'd probably say a Shorts creator. I do think that's the case, sadly. Not sadly, I love short creators, so you're doing great. But for me, who prefers making long-form videos, that's kind of the case.
Saturated in a way that it was not saturated in 2017, 10 years ago. And we are starting to see
I'll check that out.
how savvy influencers can leverage YouTube in order to build a brand rather than just talking about D&D ad nauseum. Prove that you know what you're talking about and use that as a stepping stone to get to something like Kickstarter or GameFound or whatever crowdfunding platform. Propel your career into a long-term sustainable thing.
I would say that DungeonTube is evolving. I think that there will always be the need for new lore, new information, new explorations on YouTube. I think the biggest limitation you have to ask.
Well, these are long-form creators. That's likely why they're not mentioning shorts. Yeah, but they must. I think all these people feel it. I'm sure all these guys feel it, like the pressure of it. I certainly do. Because I see like other creators on YouTube who blow up and they'll get 300,000 subscribers in like a few weeks, and I'll look and their long form videos will like have barely any views. I'm like, what? And it's because they've just moved over. They're just shorts creators, and they're just powerhouses when it comes to subscribers, and the views that they get in the shorts feed is crazy. And this once again isn't like an attack on them. It's more like I should do this. But the biggest thing that I've noticed, and these guys must have noticed, is that a lot of money from sponsorships and brand deals and all that stuff goes towards shorts creators nowadays. Like there's a big section, like there's a big like hole that was filled with like money that has disappeared from long form creators, like I guess Pockets. And that's based on shorts. That's just based on shorts. Has anyone said it's dying? I don't think I heard someone say it's dying. I don't think anyone's going to say it's dying. I don't think anyone's going to say it's dying. I don't think even Dungeon Craft believes it's dying. I think it's one of those things of like Dungeon Tube is dead, long live Dungeon Tube. It's like that version of it is dead, but like this is the new version of it. I like DM shorts as well as Zach sometimes, but in general, shorts are like candy. When I want food, some of the really long stuff is pretty huge meal though. Yeah. And like DM shorts did a fantastic, D&D shorts did a fantastic job of like also making long form content successful and doing both. And there's a few creators like that out there as well. And Zach the Bold is like, I think, figuring out that the long form game now. Like he mastered the short form and he's figuring out the long form game. So eventually they'll turn to both. But yeah, like a phoenix out of the ashes.
So if you're someone who's been running a channel for a long time, is do I have new things to say? And I think as long as we continue expanding what role-playing games can be and the things we can do with them, there'll be new things for us to say.
Hit like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. Thank you.
I would say that it's just changing. Things just kind of move along, you know, things are always evolving, I think.
You've kind of done a shift away from YouTube to your own game, Easy D6, right?
Yes. I think everybody has already said this. They want to do their own game, right?
I do not want to do my own game, by the way. Maybe I've been at this for like full time now for coming up to 3 years. So maybe I'm still new to the D&D tube space, but the idea of creating my own game, especially now in this market, feels like so much effort, and then you will kind of get shoehorned into that a little bit. I'm someone who just genuinely likes making content, and I want to be able to like make content for whatever game I'm kind of playing in general, which is an issue I ran into because I made my last channel so D&D coded that when I wanted to start making Daggerheart content, and I tried to do both, it didn't work. So I had to make this second channel for Daggerheart content, right? Making your own game and then trying to make content for like another game feels like a difficult sell to me. I'd rather make a book than a game. Yeah. You like prep because making a game is nothing but prep. Yeah. I have no evidence of this. I have no evidence of this whatsoever. So it's probably not true. And a lot of these people are veterans and experts, so they probably knew what they were getting their hands, getting themselves into. But I bet there are a lot of people out there who have made very successful games. And when they decided to make the game, they got very excited about it. And when they got to about 3/4 of the way through and they couldn't make this one mechanic work, I bet a lot of people regret doing it. I bet they're like, I shouldn't have done this. I should not have done this. Like they underestimate how much work it is. Because I don't know. It's weird, right? Because I enjoy making stuff for Daggerheart and I enjoy making an adventure for Daggerheart and all that stuff. I don't count myself as a game designer at all. I count myself as more on the creative side. So like if I want to create an adversary for Daggerheart, then I have like the homebrew rules guidelines from them, which does the mechanics for me. And then narratively, I can think of cool abilities and systems to put in place that push into game design, but I'm not coming at it from that angle at all. So I wouldn't want to make my own game because I don't want to be a game designer.
And what happened was I just got excited about doing a game because I wanted to play the way I wanted to play, not necessarily how another game was instructing me to play. I know you can always change rules and things, but the kind of core way that a game plays is really important to me. And that's what I got to with EZD6. I was able to strip away all that other stuff, all that other minutia that can just drag a game down and have it so it's just the action is just paramount. And, the players can just make up stuff on the fly, right? It's just so easy for them to make up stuff on the fly because there's not rules saying you can't.
There's a saying in filming called the 90-90 rule. It will take 90% of your time making the first 90% of it, then it will take you 90% of your time doing the last 10%. I'd say making your own game is more fun as a personal project than trying to sell it. Yeah, just the logistics of playtesting it and getting feedback and too much for me. A lot of people who questioned CR's choice to stick to D&D couldn't see the logic in them having their own flagship game and playing another. They had to go with what seemed the safest choice at the time, though, and that time was before the Daggerheart release when they had no idea it would be this big. Yeah. Cool Cylinder, what is going on? Yeah, no worries. Bro, I got scared homebrewing one monster. If it's personal projects, I think that's much more reasonable, yeah. I've heard of 80-20 in the code development sector. The first 80% of the project takes 20% of the time, and the finishing touches nuance last 20%, take 8% of the time. Funnily enough as well, there's a YouTube piece of advice, which I've heard a lot of YouTube gurus give out, especially a lot of people who are huge, and that is the 80% rule, which is that when the video is 80% done, it's done. Which is so weird to say because in any other kind of industry or system where you're creating something, you the last 20% are often the most important, right? But with YouTube videos, I think a lot of creators get hung up on all these perfectionist stuff and they get so into the weeds with it that if the video's 80%, and it doesn't matter, it won't change audience retention, it won't change whether or not people subscribe. It won't change whether or not people click on the video. And they're just once it's 80% done, that's good enough. That's good enough. So it's so interesting that that's the world for YouTube videos that advice comes out. And in other places, it's like, put in most of the work in that last 20%. But there's something about YouTube videos for most creators out there that there's something very the quicker turnaround is more important than making a perfect video. So being able to just get it out and get it done is kind of there. Not that everyone would do that. I'm sure a lot of creators out there who are perfectionists and make fantastic videos and really benefit from that. But certainly for newer creators, it's like, just get it done, get it out, stay to schedule. Movies are never finished, they only get released. You can work on something till the end of time if you don't have a deadline. Yeah. Yep, that's exactly 80-20. If you can get away with the 80% done, you save so much time. It's not linear. Yeah. I guess the YouTube gurus probably stole it from game dev. Everybody needs a good editor. That includes somebody to tell you to quit fiddling with it. Yeah, so it's done. It's done. Take it out of the oven.
There's not rules saying, oh, I can't say that I can do this because there's a rule that you have to have that talent or something, right? Strip all that stuff away and just get to the basics that the game just goes so much smoother and faster.
Faye Morell, is Dungeon Tube dying or changing?
I think with all content, the answer is always changing. I think it's always evolving, which is...
There's no way anyone's going to say it's dying. I just realized I'm not on the right screen. How long was that for?
Both a blessing and
Thank
a curse. It's always important to be constantly evaluating what you are doing and why, and seeing if there is something that you could be doing that is more interesting or more valuable, or reassessing your old way of thinking on things and revisiting that and seeing if that is worth your time, or maybe you've learned things that you didn't know back then and you're like, oh.
I don't know if this exists, but still, Cage, I think getting a community of 100 people and creating one channel together and everyone just uploading to the same channel, that sounds like an art piece, that probably exists. Because you just need an email. You just need everyone needs the login details and everyone can make videos and put them in. And maybe you give yourself all 100 people have to follow guidelines, but you can everyone just uploads whenever they want. And the channel would just get 10 new videos a day. And I wonder what that would be like. That's crazy.
I think I should actually completely move past these things now that I know more.
But Twitch is where it's at.
That is true. Twitch is where it's at.
Oh, wait.
I would...
What are you saying about Twitch? We're on Twitch right now.
On things and revisiting that and seeing if that is worth your time, or maybe...
Hold on, let me go back all the way.
Curse. I think it's always evolving, which is both a blessing and a curse. It's always important to be constantly evaluating what you are doing and why, and seeing if there is something that you could be doing that is more interesting, or...
I think the logistics of it would be too hard, but modest movement, a Twitch channel which is always live, and people in different parts of the world just take shifts to run the same game, as in it's like West Marshes, I guess, but the GM changes and the table changes, every 4 hours, and it's trying to tell the same story. But keeping up with the story as the GMs and players to get it going would be difficult. But you'd just be this D&D game has been going non-stop on this Twitch channel for 6 months. Then there's something there.
More valuable, or reassessing your old way of thinking on things and revisiting that and seeing if that is worth your time, or maybe
was
you've
it?
learned things
Did you
that you
guys
didn't
do
know
that?
back then and you're like, oh, I think I should actually completely move past these things now that I know more.
But Twitch is where it's at.
Oh.
That is true. Twitch is where it's at. I would always recommend going over there because that's where I am.
Isn't it tougher to make videos, though?
Yeah. That
Who was
definitely
that?
makes it tougher.
Let me go follow her on. Wait.
That the game just goes so much smoother and faster.
Faye Morell, is Dungeon Tube
Thamerel? Do you have links down here? Faye Morel. Over on Twitch. What if they're live right now? I don't see them. Where's my Twitch Plays Ravenloft campaign session? When's the Ravenloft book coming out? Have I played EZD6? I've not. I think this is one of the first people. How do you spell Faye Morel? I bet it's like an underscore. Faye Morel. No. All right. Well, I can't find her. We tried.
Dying or changing?
I think that's where I am.
Isn't it tougher to make videos though?
Yeah, that definitely makes it tougher to make videos because there's definitely has to be a more creative element, either in how you're saying the thing, what is that twist you're putting on it, basically, or even just finding new things to talk about in general can be difficult. When
I think I spoke about this. I think I've spoken about this, like recently. Or I was putting it into a script for something and I decided I didn't want to throw it into the thing. But what Bob's getting to here is, and I agree, it's ideation. It's coming up with a good idea, coming up with a different spin on stuff. And that's more difficult. But I think the biggest issue that Dungeon Tube or like D&D YouTube or TTRPG YouTube, I think the biggest issue is that creators have put on this weird, it's not weird, it's just left over from like old YouTube, but there's a belief system that they have to make weekly videos. Like they have to pump out a video every single week. That's what they need to do. And it's like the rest of YouTube doesn't do that anymore. Like you have creators who put out a video once a month, once every 2 months. And it's like when we see the creators who are there saying like, I have to change my content or I'm quitting because it's just not working anymore and whatever. It's from people who are on that race wheel and they don't give themselves enough time to like ideate and iterate and try and make an interesting, unique, well-packaged video. And it's such a shame because I've felt it as well. Like this year I've been putting out weekly videos and it's been like killing me. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm not doing that anymore. On my main channel, I'm not putting out weekly videos anymore. Maybe if I make a video within a week, but if a video takes 2 weeks to make or 3 weeks to make, I'm going to take my time with it. And we'll see how that pays off or if it pays off, because it could be horrendously bad for me, but I don't know. It's a world I'd rather live in. I'd rather like spend more time making hopefully better videos than going crazy pumping out mediocre videos. Twitch /Mando8. Let me have a look.
It seems like at least
shush, Bob. Thank you. Oh, I'm already following them. My bad. I have not seen one of their streams for a while.
The big game, D&D, doesn't, at least right now, seem to be doing...
Unless I get a part-time job, yeah. Or unless I like can turn the Daggerheart channel into something that is at least giving me some part-time money. And big up to my Patreon. Become a channel member, subscribe to me on Twitch, give me that free Prime money. Thank you. I'm deserving of it. For no reason, I'm not deserving of it, probably. I mean, give it to charity. Spend it on yourself. But if you just simply have too much money, throw it at me. I think there's merit in my channel idea of home game, where it's a game that that is ran using $100 to $150 per minute for expansion and new things. Huh? Using nothing but general things, maps, last speeds, tokens. See how good of a game you can make just using basics. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. Big creators do that, though. D&D schedule isn't what an average 1K YouTuber can do. No. Maybe the new meta is the Michael Reeves meta, upload a few times a year with absolute bangers and ignore YouTube otherwise. Yeah. I'm sure, like, and it's also better. Like, I'm sure a lot of creators would rather do that. It's just that potentially the D&D space... I mean, it's weird, right? Because people will post videos, actual players will post videos and get millions of views. So, like, that audience is there. But for the GM advice, nitty gritty system, dungeon tube kind of area, it feels like there's a smaller ceiling of maybe what's a good solid video is like 50K, 100K, couple of 100K for the bigger hitters, you know. But there's very few creators out there. I mean, I can't think of any creator that is doing the YouTube thing where they're just like, I make a video every month and I get 1 million views. Like, I think in the Dungeon Tube space, occasionally someone will make a video that will get 1 million views, but to do it consistently, you're more like 100, 200, 300K is like a very, very big channel. Bonus reaction game will spend a fee to get a Prime subscriber. Oh my god, I'd be spending fee, Nick, no issue. So really, the GM not taking a turn should be seen as a super success of sorts rather than disappointment when it doesn't happen. It should be very exciting when it does work. Okay. I think you're back in the conversation we were having earlier, Zambi. I think Pointy Hat might be the closest to that reality. Yeah, what's Pointy Hat doing at the moment? Is he like a... Oh, nice. Is he like a couple 100K? I'm going to lose a fear because of that. Good stuff.
Things that are...
Let's look. Pointy Hat. Oh, 2? Oh. Pointy Hat. Yeah, I mean, what he's doing is insanely impressive, but he's still nowhere near like the million views video, you know? That sounds like such a weird dig. It's like, only 400,000 views on one of these videos, But you know what I mean? Like, for the people who, and he's doing weekly, so he's doing very well for himself. But if he did monthly, then would he be able to like survive money-wise, is the question. Because in other niches and other channels, they can post a video every month or 2 months and get a couple of million views and be very happy with that. Pointy varies from a couple of vids a week to once a month. Oh, okay. Right. Oh, sorry, Zambi. I get you. Yeah. Fair. And 8, I'm going to count that as me getting a fear. I got a 2 earlier, so I'm going to take 2 fears. Deal with it.
As exciting as they might have been early.
Q-Box with the natural 20. I will take 3 fear off me. That is a solid move. Very, very nice work. Remove all that fear. I took two. Okay, he crit. But yeah, so So what I meant by the Pointy Hat thing is, I think Pointy Hat is one of the, if not the biggest, dungeon tuber, like D&D tubers out there, and he's hitting like 400k as his cap, 500k. So for a normal person like me, even if I spent a month on a video, it's not like I could like do insanely well. Like I get why people on the weekly train is what I'm saying. I get why people do weekly, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna try bi-weekly. I'm gonna try every 2 weeks at least for a little bit and see if I can. Because I just want to make more unique stuff. I just want to make more interesting, unique videos as well. And it's very hard to do that when you're on that once a week thing. I know other creators that I see where I'm just like, you're not actually a weekly creator, but you're putting stuff out weekly because you get sponsors. You know, so we all know, we've all seen those videos where it's like, oh, this video only exists because you had a sponsor. And it could be a fantastic video, but you wouldn't have made this otherwise, but you got a sponsor, so you went for it, which is, you know, fair.
Several years ago, anyway.
So I think the 5e scene is becoming much less constricted, I suppose you could say, by what Wizards of the Coast wants, and is starting to look at role-playing games in more of a folk art.
It depends what you consider dungeon tubers. There are multiple D&D adjacent channels that do nothing but horror stories like Crit Crab and the like. Interesting. Yeah. I think I would maybe count them as dungeon tube. That's true. That's true. And do they hit millions? That's the question. But it's definitely a different type of video though. But it's within the same. I guess it's sharing the same audience, and I definitely think that some people who watch something like D&D horror stories would also watch D&D tubers. 9, you're safe. You're safe, Michi. They just hit as high as Pointy Hat. Yeah, so it feels like that's the ceiling. That feels like that's the ceiling. I would say like the ceiling for actual plays is like 1 million. If you have like big names and you're good actual play, who's been at it for a while, you will be getting like a couple of million if it's like episode 1 for a special episode, but maybe things would neutralize around 1 million views for like just a standard episode, and then for like the best of the best of like commentary channels and like essay channels, you're looking at like 400k is kind of the cap for that. And like all I mean by that is like that's the best of the best. So most people won't be hitting those numbers. They'd be and in the dungeon tube space, it feels like most people, even people who I would say are doing incredibly well right now, are still hitting like the 50k, 60k mark regularly. So it's just a weird space. It's just kind of a weird space. So I don't know. No one's figured it out.
Arts tradition where you're putting together the stuff that you want from.
Well, it's time for you to become the Mr. Beast of YouTube, of D&D Tube. Do you mean? I don't think here's my hot take. I don't think the average D&D Tube viewer wants that kind of content. I think there's like, they like value. That is, they almost prefer education, but done in like a entertaining way. Whereas Mr. Beast or content like that is more entertainment first. And I don't know. But it's why I want to get into playing actual plays more. It's why I want to play games live on Twitch and edit them down and get better at doing that and producing content like that more. Not taking over my commentary stuff, but it's more rewarding to me, and it moves away from education and more into entertainment, which I don't know. I think it's a more rewarding thing because you get to play the game and you get to tell stories and you get to create in a way that's very different from, I guess it'll feel less like a rat race compared to like normal D&D tube.
All the systems that you know about.
How's Vagabond doing?
Life-changing. It has been insane to see so many people who wanted a rules light but character
How much money have you earned?
expression heavy game out there. It has been unreal to see the community support, and it's thanks to guys like you and Deficient who have been able to make this dream of mine happen.
What are you working on now?
My first book was So You Want to Be a Game Master. My next book is going to be So You Want to Be a Dragon Slayer. It's going to be aimed at the players, and where I taught the game masters to design and run dungeons and mysteries and raids and heists and all these other types of adventures. So You Want to Be a Dragon Slayer.
So I respect the down the barrel of the gun, looking straight down the throat of the camera for this.
Player is going to focus very specifically on here's how you survive the dungeon, here's how you can solve mysteries, here's how you can run a successful heist and get the package that you were aiming for out of the vault. So You Be a Dragon Slayer is going to be the player book that tells players exactly how to be the best player.
He commands the camera. I love it.
I hope the first piece of advice is stop going shopping. Why did they want to do that? Who wants to go shopping in a role-playing game?
You know, it used to be the barrier to entry was very low. The competition was very low. Now everything's very saturated, so you have to.
The only Mr. Beast I watched is the one with Mark, the glitter bomb NASA dude. Did you guys not watch the episode where he locks? Where he went into a supermarket during the middle of the day and made an announcement and said, everyone in the supermarket, you can leave whenever you want, but the last person to leave gets an insane, like millions of dollars. So they all, this was recent. So everyone was like, I'm staying in here. And he fundamentally trapped, he used money because people can't say no to that life-changing money. Like it gets to the point in a capitalist society where you'd be a fool to walk out of there. So you had people like staying there when they had jobs to go to, staying there when they had kids to look after, staying there when they missed their family. And I think, I didn't watch the whole thing, honestly. I skipped through it just because I couldn't believe it. And it ended up with 4 people left in there after like, I'm just going to throw on, after like a week or maybe even a month. Like, that 4 people were just left in this suit and none of them would leave. And you had one guy who's like, oh man, I miss my wife and kids so much. Like, I'm missing my kids' first words. And, you know, you might be there being like, dude, do what's important. It's your kids' first words. But also, for like $28 million, you could make that kid's life way better. It's very difficult. And then at the end of the video, Mr. Beast goes like, okay, guys, here's what we're going to do. We're going to change the game. If you guys all agree, you can share the money. And then you can share 4 times the money if you live in this grocery store for a year. Just live in here. You have to live in here and eat all the food in here. And we'll put a gym in here so you can get in shape and all that stuff. And it's like, man, they've just been in there for a month. Of course they're going to stay in for a year. And it's not right. It is not right at all. You got a lot of flack for that. Yeah. Anyway, that was my Mr. Beast tangent. They say money doesn't buy happiness, but I promise you, I would rather cry in a Ferrari. Money buys things that can make you feel good. I think money definitely helps. Like, sure, you could have a lot of money and not be happy, but you're more likely to have no money and not be happy. So, I don't know. What was crazy was the whole thing was rigged. There's a class action suit about it right now. I will look into that, Zay insist, because what? It doesn't buy happiness, but it makes so much stuff easier to deal with and gets you a handle. Yeah. It doesn't buy happiness, but it buys security, and security can lead to happiness. Anyway, whoever first said that money doesn't buy happiness was some sad rich dude, and we shouldn't listen to them.
Have really high quality content. You have to bring novel ideas and a charismatic voice in order to know how to talk about it. I think that's honestly the big change.
We're all kind of constantly adapting and sort of trying to play catch up with whatever it is that this sort of unseen, invisible hand of the algorithm wants from us. It's like trying to...
I like this badge. I like this talk, fight, trade, examine, spell badge. I like it a lot.
Divine something from your warlock patron. It's like, you know, what do you want me to do? What do you want from me? And trying to kind of do that, and it being in this back and forth, this contested sort of battle between what you want to make versus what the platform needs you to make.
Tell them how you find players.
So my favorite way to find players, I'm a latecomer to TTRPGs. I'm a relatively new GM. So I actually found my first group by walking into my pottery studio.
Nice.
And just asking if anyone was interested in trying to play D&D. And so I do the same.
Dude, did you say pottery? Because that's what I'm doing now. And I've realized there are like a lot of hobby groups out there where it's almost like if you can get into another hobby that is kind of niche, a lot of those people are just so down to try out other hobbies. It's like once if someone's into something, they're more likely to get into other stuff. But if you're just asking your friends who are just like so set in their ways, aren't trying anything new, you know, they're not gonna be as compelled. But if you go to like a beginner's class of something else, those people are often like looking for something, like and can do stuff on the side. So you could go to a beginner's pottery class and grab some D&D people, and then you can do pottery with them and D&D with them. You hold people at gunpoint. That works. Yeah, hobby leads to new hobby. Yeah. Oh, it just shows that people are like, if they're open to seeking out new things and open to trying new things, it can just go a long way. Candle makers are feral. I'm just saying. Yeah. Play my imaginary game of
If
else.
I'm out at a dinner party or something, I'll invite people to my next session and be like, yeah, do you want to try it? So I find tons of people are really, really interested and then kind of fall down that rabbit hole. But maybe D&D isn't their main thing. Maybe they're really into sci-fi and love Mothership. And I think a lot of those other types of games are much more accessible now. But that's what it's shifting away from maybe just D&D Tube. So I think it's an illusion that D&D Tube is dying when it's like it might not be as view heavy, I think, but the interest of TTRPGs.
It's fine. I've said this before as well. It's also just an ebb and flow. So, like, views... In fact, I said this in my video where I said D&D was evolving. And I was so proud of myself that I'm going to say it again. I can't remember the exact words I used, but you know when you just say something, I'm like, dude, am I a poet? Should I be a writer? Should I be someone who can like be quoted in the future? And I was saying like, people are so fast to make videos when views are down and say that D&D Tube is dying, but you never hear from them when YouTube is thriving. It was something like that, you know, dying to thriving. But it's true. It's like during the OGL time and for a time after that, views were like double, triple, quadruple for creators. There were some creators out there who would do nothing but talk about the OGL, and they 10x'd their revenue those months. They 10x'd those revenues, 10x, which is 10x. I'll say it again, 10x. They 10 times it. And you never hear people being like, oh man, at other times, we've also seen upticks. I don't want to use the OGL thing because it was crappy for many reasons. But during those times where it's thriving and everyone's making so much money, you just don't hear them making videos talking about how it's thriving. So it seems like that's normal. And then when it's dying, you hear about it so much because this is people's livelihoods and it's what they like to talk about and it's a big thing and it gets views. And it's like, no, we're just ebbing and flowing. We're just ebbing and flowing. It just feels like it's dying because we didn't recognize that it was thriving before. And it's going to stop dying soon and start thriving again. And when that happens, we're just going to forget about that. Okay, finance bro Phil. Dude, This is my 3-step program. Big brain strat. Say D&D YouTube is dying to improve in the YouTube space. That causes it to thrive again. Yeah. There's a reason a lot of tubers transition to reaction content creators. Yeah. And people also aren't mentioning in this video, by the way, something that I mentioned that I kind of got chewed out for, and rightly so, because I got disproven straight away. But when I made my video a few weeks ago about how D&D is like disappeared from YouTube, the brand, this was before they created an actual play that was getting millions of views. But before the actual play came out, YouTube hadn't posted. D&D hadn't posted on a YouTube channel for months, and they hadn't really made many announcements. They weren't trying to hype up the new book that much. They were doing some stuff. They were doing some marketing stuff, but nowhere near the normal amount. They were like operating at like 10% the marketing engine, and they released the roadmap, and the roadmap didn't really have anything exciting on it. And it's like, if D&D's not, if the brand itself, who make the game are not really present on YouTube, then like just general hype around the game is going to be lower, and views are going to be lower. That's just going to happen naturally. Now, that video was a mistake to make, because as soon as I made it, it came out that they were like planning a ton of stuff, including the actual play. I was like, oh, okay. So hopefully maybe with Ravenloft, and hopefully when they start bigging up like their marketing engine again, we'll start to see like a rise in views, and hopefully it can start thriving again.
Is probably heavier than ever.
Oof, the verdict.
Now that I've digested all the information and contemplated a bit, I think DungeonTube is broadening, and old genres that used to work may not be as popular anymore. I love crafting videos, but I think those may have taken a hit because of 3D printing. I think I have an old video on how to make a door. It took like a day and about $10 worth of supplies. But now you can just go on Etsy, and with a simple click, you can get about 3 resin doors for
good luck with that. Watch my Etsy video. Oof.
About $2 each. I think Dungeon Master Advice videos are difficult to do because most people assume they've heard it all before. And it strikes me the biggest channels in DungeonTube have a lot of entertainment value. They do lots of skits and comedy bits. Now that people know the tropes of D&D and all the goofy things players do, comedy is a lot more popular. Million-view video.
But also, I'm going to say something that I've not thought through and maybe regrets. But I also think, now that I've dipped my toe in it and I want to do more people in the D&D space on YouTube should play the game as far as like putting it up online and play the game in fun and unique ways. In fact, I talk about this a lot with like gaming videos in general on YouTube, like video game videos. There's this huge change up in the way people made just normal video games. Like Minecraft is a great example, right? There was a time when people would just make 2 types of Minecraft videos. There was videos where people just like spoke about updates and spoke about Minecraft. Not really that much, but they existed. And then there were videos where Let's Plays happened, and it would be like episode 1, episode 2, episode 3, and they'd play the game. And then that stopped working like 10 years ago. And now we live in a world where some of the Minecraft videos you see are some of the most like creative storytelling masterpieces. Like they're like movies. I'm not saying anyone can make them, but they found a way to like be interesting and continue to innovate. And I think D&D Tube kind of has to do that, and it is doing that, but like I feel like it's also a little bit more resistant to change in general. Daddy's doing well with DM tips. Presentation is a big factor now. Yeah, Daddy's doing very well. But I've had that as well when I've said about like views being down and people like are like Mystic Gem's doing very well. He is like an outlier though. Right? He's not he's like the exception that proves the rule, if you will. And he's very, very good at what he does. But I think if people are like, oh, he's not doing, just look at Mystic Arts, he's doing fantastic. It's like, yeah, but he's one out of hundreds of creators. And I think if you ask him, he would even like say that he's worried about like views just suddenly going down, right? Like there's no guarantee kind of thing. So like if you ask him exactly what he's doing to do that, to get those views and stuff, he wouldn't be able to guarantee that he can do it for forever, because it's constantly changing. And Daddy will be fine. I think he understands the game. He would have no issue adapting to whatever changes get thrown at him. But he's definitely not. I don't think you can just point at him or point at Pointy Hat, or Ginny D, and just be like, it's fine. Look at these creators who are doing well. It's like, yeah, they are exceptions to this. He has a cool voice. That's why. Daddy has a lot of stuff going for it. He's done a lot. I'm a huge fan, and I'm a jealous fan as well, because he's blown past me in like subscribers and stuff, and he's done very well. And every video it feels like he is like a banger, but you can tell that he put a lot of effort and a lot of work into that. So have a cool voice, Phil. I've got an accent. Well, he's got an accent. Crap. But he played the game well. I think Daddy came out with 5 videos off the bat. He released 5 all at once, which is like a good YouTuber thing. And then he released 2 videos a week for like a year. And this is more for other creators who might be looking at like him and being like, my channel sucks, or I can't do this. Like, he's doing so well. How? Just remember, like, he has multiple people working on those videos, at least him and his wife. So at least probably double the manpower, right? And he was releasing them at such a rate that they both must work their ass off. Like, the other thing is, I'm not willing to do that. I'm not willing to give up my life entirely for growth. And yeah, back when I was looking at his channel, I was like, how is he doing so well? It's so good. And I was like, oh, when I first made my channel, I made 2 videos in 6 weeks. And I think he had like 6 or 7 videos out in that same amount of time. It's just like he's just going for it at like an insane pace, insane level. And he's made a lot of right decisions, but he's definitely like an outlier, I think, overall. So don't think that like YouTube is like easy based on like the biggest people. All right. That's what I tell myself anyway in the mirror every morning. Ugh. But interesting stuff. But one thing's for sure, I want to escape making videos that are like D&D, Tube is dead and stuff like that now, because I've made my fair share of them and they've never done well for my channel. What is that? That's 17. Very, very nice. I will take a fair off. Or that they've done well in the short term, but they've just never been. They're never a good idea. I think I may make one more of those style videos. I may make a I was wrong about D&D video to clear up my video when I talked about how D&D had disappeared from YouTube, because it's just that video is straight up wrong now, and I want to address that. I want to address the allegations, and it'll probably be a thumbnail of me looking like I'm doing an apology video. It is what it is. But then after that, and that might not come out for a while, then after that, I think I'm going to really concentrate on taking my time and making, I guess, like, more unique videos. And honestly, videos that other people aren't making. Because it's kind of wide open right now. I probably shouldn't be saying this because other people can steal it. But the fact that so many other YouTubers in this space are on that weekly video trend, no one's able to make those bigger videos, you know? No one's able to make videos that are just like, I did this thing for a month, right? Like, no one's able to take the budget that they would spend on one video and put it, 4x it and put it into one video, because just no one's doing that. So that's just automatically going to make you stand out. I'm leaving my stance because I was wrong. Yeah, I was straight up wrong. I'm leaving. Yeah, it'd be goodbye. I could also do a goodbye one. How would you guys feel if... No, it would be bad. If I did a video and it said goodbye and it was me waving and... Or I'm quitting or something like that. And the video was me saying that I'm quitting making weekly videos. And now I'm going to making videos every 2 weeks or something. You know? Or I say, I'm quitting making weekly videos. I'm just going to make videos when they're ready. And then I continue to make weekly videos because they're always ready in a week. No, nothing comes from it. Nothing good comes from it. It'll make me like $50 quick. And that will be it. That will be the full benefit of it. My rent is more than $50, unfortunately. I'm quitting caffeine, going full decaf. Yeah. I'm quitting caffeine in pill form. They kind of agree. They talk about in the Bible. You'd have to hit them with, here's why in 0.5 seconds before you lose everyone. I feel like a lot of people really drag out the I'm quitting videos. Like I say, I'm quitting. And I open a video and I say, I've been running this channel for 3 years full time, almost. And I just want to say that you guys, the audience, the viewers who have been there for me, whether you're just discovering me or you've been here since day one, you've made my time here so special and amazing. And it's sad that things have gone the way they have, but I just want you to know that you guys have absolutely made this an amazing journey for me. Before I get into why I'm quitting, I just want to first talk about a sponsor of this video, and then I would do like a sponsor segment, and then after the sponsor segment I would come out and then I would be like, so I was 3 years old when I first saw a video camera, and then I would like talk about growing up, talk about like being a teenager in the UK, and then in my 20s, you know, what I did for work and how I moved to Canada in my late 20s, and then how I discovered D&D Tube and how I got to this point. Then I would like take a moment and be like, just by the way, if you're enjoying this, I have a Patreon, and you can go follow me on Twitch. I spend very long times on bits that weren't funny to begin with, but I just keep going. And then once I've finished up that, we should be around the 9 or 10 minute mark, which is nice for ad revenue. And then I would just be like, okay, so to address the title and thumbnail, it is true, I am quitting making weekly videos. Now I will only make a video every 8 days. And yeah, thanks for watching. And you end it so fast because everyone's just jumped off and you don't want view retention to go down. I think that's solid. I think that's a solid video, actually, that I could pump out tonight. I could probably just take what I just did and cut chat out, and the Oscar goes to someone else. Silence? Uncool, man. That was a burn. That was a good burn. Such a good burn that I'm gonna take another fear off myself. So, and that is not an invitation for people to try and insult me, to try and get rid of. I guess it is. But the deal is, if you're gonna try and insult me, you've got to find that very fine line between, like, you know, banter and being mean. Because if you're mean, I straight up ban you. So 1 out of 10 rated. Adler, what is going on? But yeah. No, you'd never insult me. What's the thing that people say that I hate? I'm not trying to insult you, I'm just being honest. Fuck you, dude. Fuck you, dude. Your honesty is you insulting me. They're my least favorite kind of people. People who say they're brutally honest are people who have no empathy. You can just be honest. You don't have to be brutally honest. That's a choice. The brutal part's a choice. That's a genre that you're choosing to dip your toes into yourself. You just figured out the next twist in your campaign. Let's hear it, Adler. Oh, if it's a Daggerheart campaign, even better. Just checking, you guys can still hear some music, right? Or am I dancing to nothing? This is how I dance on a dance floor as well, in like a club. Still some music. All right, I'm going to turn it up a little bit. I'm going to attempt to. Anyone have any recommendations for a Daggerheart's False Hydra stat block? I'm building one specifically for the combat section for 4 tier 2 players. That sounds awesome. What's the twist? YouTube chat. You don't have to call them YouTube chatters. You don't have to call them out like that. Well, there's a group of werewolves my party is chasing out of a palace, but there's another enemy force coming from the other direction. Uh-oh, sandwich. Sandwich, and the meat is your players. And the top piece of bread is a bunch of werewolves. Oh no, sorry, the werewolves are the meat. Extra where? It's an oversimplification of what's happening, but yeah. Cool. Okay. Keep going. Oh, if you're on YouTube, by the way, can you like this live stream? Can you do me a favor? Can you do me a quick, just a quick favor? Just hit that like button. I don't know if it'll do anything, but I really want to find out. I can't scroll up and see their name. I wasn't trying to be mean. Hey, YouTube chatter. What do you mean you can't scroll up? What does that mean? That you refuse to? It's like a belief system you have? You don't want to scroll up? Or... Oh, you can't scroll up. Sorry. I know exactly what that means. I know exactly what that means. 'Cause you can just see the stuff on chat. My bad. That's my bad. Yeah. Okay. I'm an idiot. Just don't got you for no reason. I have to lose a fear for that, I think. I think I lose a fear for that. That was not called for. I apologize. What do you mean you can't scroll up? You physically can't scroll up, Phil. You made the overlay. You made it like that. I'm not even saying. Filthy YouTube peon. It did have that energy. It did have that, like, Twitch is better. Here on Twitch, I remember people's names. But over on YouTube, you're just a YouTube chatter. Acronite might as well be Adler Verdery for all I care. You know? Hey, filthy Twitch chat as well. Let's not start a war. My favorite is Twitch. I hate to tell you guys. Actually, no, it's not. Well, listen to why I said that before you... My favorite is Twitch because they give me more money. However, I get more viewers on YouTube. So it really is like a double-edged sword that is difficult. It's difficult. But if I could choose, I would rather have more viewers on Twitch than YouTube. And that's not because I think there's no difference between individual chatters. You're all created equally. You're all amazing and good looking, if I'm allowed to say. But I would love to be a Twitch partner one day, and I would need 75 average viewers. Right now I have 19. No, I have 21 on YouTube, and I have 12 on Twitch. So if everyone on YouTube came to Twitch right now, which you won't, I don't expect you to, don't do it. But if they did, just going through this in my head, I'd have 33 viewers in total, which is almost halfway to Twitch partner, right? So, I don't know. The discoverability on YouTube is way better for streaming. It just is. Remember this, filthy. Still Cage, thank you for the $2. Thank you. I didn't mean... Thank you. I am a filthy streamer. Yes. Talk to me any way you want. I will lose another fear. Though I'm dangerously low. I am dangerously low on the fear. Thank you, Still Cage. I appreciate that. That's fair money is nice, yeah. This is my first time being here. I didn't expect so few people here. You're a pretty good channel. All right. Okay, Adler. Go into like someone's like, oh, I didn't expect you to have so few friends. But I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah. My Daggerheart channel is pretty small. So when I talk about Daggerheart, it's smaller. But even when I talk about, I feel like when I was streaming on my main channel talking about D&D, there was occasions where I'd put like 40 viewers, which is decent. But a lot of it is also just doing it often, and I'm very inconsistent. So I've been pretty good. I want to stream way more often. And I think last week I streamed 3 days, and the week before I streamed a few days, and this week maybe I'll do every single day this week. Like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Just in case you didn't know what days were. Hold on, I'm getting a message from the wife. I'll be home around 8. What do you want to do for dinner? Yeah, we got food to cook. I'll probably cook before she can. Or I can cook. But it's up to you. But yeah, still case. Thank you for the $2. Thank you. Wow, I kind of prefer YouTube now. I kind of prefer the clean and handsome and smart YouTube chatters. So I just saw Adler's chat from earlier where he was like, Twitch, yes, such a famously great platform. Oh yes, Twitch, owned by Amazon, the most charitable and morally correct company that has ever been. Oh, what's... Yeah, okay, I'll cook. I'll jump off soon and I'll go cook. I also didn't see Poggers coming out of his silence with his first words, because it tells me when you chat for the first time per stream, saying we must fight back. I have heard this, just so you guys are aware, this is a strat going around, that there are a lot of streamers out there do pit YouTube and Twitch against each other because it can make them try and outdo each other by giving more and more money, and it's almost like watching some tyrants of a nation just pitting two classes of people together so they can get on top. So just to warn you, don't fall for that. Don't, if I'm ever like, YouTube, did you just hear what Twitch just said? YouTube, do you know Twitch just gave me $5? Twitch, YouTube just gave me $5 as well. If I'm ever doing that, just know I'm rinsing you for all you're worth. That's not what you meant. I know, Adler. I know. I meant it as a compliment. Yeah, I know, buddy. Nothing worse than complimenting someone and them taking offense to it. Twitch chat would never say that to... Dude, you called me a bad actor earlier. You said the Oscar goes to someone else. Was that you? Was that you, or was that a different filthy Twitch chatter? Yes, where are you taking us to dinner? I'm cooking. I'm going to be cooking. I'm cooking some food. I'm cooking a chef's plate. I'm cooking one of those meal prep things. I get a box full of food. I get some instructions. I throw the instructions away. I put all the food in one pan. And I just heat it up until it looks okay. And then we eat it. Maybe I use 2 pans sometimes. That's pretty much how I deal with those things. Mac and cheese, no. Is Google much better? No. Unfortunately, it's a lose-lose situation. But it could be worse. YouTube, maybe not great. Twitch, maybe not great. It could be Kick. I think Kick is like objectively the bad one, right? That's the gambling site. It's like, we're going to get people to gamble. The most valiant hobby there is. I'm a broke missionary intern. Okay, you're fine then. I don't have money to give. That's cool. Also, this is the first I've ever been on. Yeah, no. I hope everyone's going to say I do this a lot. Don't listen to them. I don't normally just beg first-time chatters for money. Off rip. I don't normally do that. Guys, I feel... Oh, yeah. Actually, Silence, should we try this? Do you want to raid me out today? Do you want to... Can I put some... an extra responsibility on you? Do you mind? Can you go find someone to raid? Oh, I can take a look in a minute. You left us last time to go out with another woman. Yeah, no, I went through a tunnel. We lost connect. What is this? Why am I being attacked right now? Okay. It was bad service. Can't help that. He cooks like EGMs. Yeah, it's a train wreck. It's a train wreck. Hey, as long as I get to the end of it and there's like a story, as long as I get to the end of it and there's some kind of meal, that's all that counts. Money, who has that? Indeed. He always begs. I don't beg. I subtly request money by just bringing it up a lot. Like an unusual amount. I just say the word money a lot. Money. And, it doesn't work. It's yet to work. But, it is what it is. Yeah, you need to be around for a minimum of 5 streams to achieve the privilege of being begged for money by Phil. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You mean this is your first time getting on any live ever? Oh, so you don't know about the thing where it's like an entrance fee? You kind of have to give money. It's like it's the done thing. No, I'm kidding. Holy crap, welcome to your first live. What do you think of it so far? You've been on Twitch, though. You've seen our live stream. You've been on the internet before, right? If someone streams on Kick, I am immediately suspicious. They are banned from the other platforms. Yeah. It's like, what's wrong? Yeah, you've been banned from the other platform for something. As long as I get to the end of it with a decent story. Same thing my ex said. Very good. Sorry, I'm getting instructions sent to me. Food instructions. Actual play or just chatting D&D content creator? I don't think he's ever been on any live before. This is his first interaction with someone in real time. I've watched actual players that were recorded and posted to YouTube. What? How did you end up in here? Hope you've been enjoying your trial stream. You need a reaction. Gold account if you want to watch more streams. Yeah, I'm actually doing. I'm doing reaction roll drops. So like every month, there's gonna be new drops that come out. It's mostly just me saying things, but I'll say those things about you if you are a subscriber on Twitch or YouTube. So. All bots here, no real chatters. Things bots say. In fact, that is actually pretty good, Still Cage. If I was going to bot my channel, I hope I'm not like being flagged talking about botting now, and I'm gonna get like, if I was gonna bot my channel, the best way to do it would be to make all the bots joke about being bots, right? Still Cage, I'm a bot. Yeah, because a bot would never say that. Paid for by Phil. You spelt by incorrectly. But yeah. We're all Phil. That's why he keeps checking his phone. He's typing all the replies. Yeah. Yeah, it's like a ventriloquist. Like my left arm right now is just typing so much in secret. Imagine being a bot, but on another note, want best viewers? So I have a... I don't know if you guys follow it. I mean, it's a younger crowd, I think, but there was that stuff with a streamer called Extra Emily where she... I probably talked about this before as well, because I just find it fascinating. Where she changed tabs, and she had like thousands of people watching her. She changed tabs, and one of the tabs was freaking by viewbots, so she got absolutely cancelled for it. Jazz, thank you for the follow, good sir. Some of us bots are by tri-platform. It's okay, Phil has best bots. I don't have best bots. Don't compliment. Don't. You know what? Don't compliment me anymore, Ringtail. Say one nice thing about that guy. He has best bots. He has cheap bots. In fact, he made full fake YouTube and Twitch channels for each bot. Yeah, that's true as well. I'm giving myself money. Following me everywhere now. I appreciate that, Jazz. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Phil has worst bots. Okay. Okay, Phil has 0 bots in here. You shared the DCC how to play on Discord, just in case you wanted to look over it at some point. Unsure if you saw the original message. No, I appreciate it. Never feel bad about repeating stuff. Chat was moving fast earlier. I don't know how anyone like manages it when it's moving fast. Because it doubles for me as well. Because my chat box has both the YouTube and Twitch together. So like if people talk on both sides, which I want lots of people chatting. But there's definitely stuff that's going to get missed. Justin, I'm mid. Watch your live play. What made you land on that cast? Do you view yourself as a DM director, some blend of the two? That cast is just my friends, and it was who I could get together. That actual live play was a practice run as well. I fully intended to not post that. It was like I was going to record it for practice and then edit it as well to practice editing it down. And I was just like, actually, it's not bad. I'll just post it. Like, it's part of the process. So it was like a test. It was like training, I think, mostly. What's your other question? Do I view myself as a DM director, some blend of the two? No. I mean, for that, I was a game master. It's so pedantic. They're all the same thing. But I was a GM because it was Daggerheart. But if you mean like from a creator point of view, I see myself as just the same way I would make a normal YouTube video. I'm just like a content creator. Hey Phil, what would you suggest is the best campaign frame for a war setting? Probably 5 banners burning. It is a full-blown potential war. You can just like make the war have already broken out. Depends on the war scenario though, because the Witherwild also has space in there for a war between like the people of the forest and the people of the city to happen as well. But yeah. Those are the ones who didn't run fast enough. Yeah. Interesting question about the upcoming campaign book. Do you think it should be an Exandria version or a totally new world? Jazz, I think I'm of two minds. Phil, the fan of Critical... Oh no. Hello? I'm in the void. My camera broke. At exactly like the 3-hour mark, I think. Oh no, 3 hours, 20 minutes. Hold on. Hello? Anyone hear me? Okay, I don't think anyone can hear me. Well, my social insurance number is 721. Let me try turning this off. I'm turning it off and on again. Move your hot light, that kills it. It's okay, it's been going for 3 hours. It's been going for 3 hours. The hot light is facing, the hot lights are facing here, the camera's over there. I think it's fine. I think it just overheats. I think it's a common problem with DSLRs. It's a world we live in. It is hot as well. I just touched it. It burnt me a little bit. What was I saying? It was so good. I was saying something so good. Adler, you watched the actual play and you were like, wait, that's how the rules work? Rapidly flips through pages. That was the thing I was most nervous of. I genuinely was like, am I here making YouTube videos about Daggerheart? And back in my mind, I was like, God, I might be misunderstanding the game completely. What if there's something so obvious that I'm doing wrong? What if it's like, and I'm just going to get chewed apart, end of career stuff. Luckily, it feels like I did things okay. Like, no one's had any major issues with the way I GM'd yet. But there's definitely times all the time where I like forget rules and stuff, or I do something wrong and I'm like, oh, I did that wrong, by the way. So, I'd like to think it'd be okay if I did that on an actual play, but who knows? Who knows? Oh yeah. I was talking about the Exandria. If we wanted a campaign book, would I want it to be Exandria or a totally new world? I think as a Critical Role fan, I would want it to be Exandria because I love that world. My first ever D&D game was set in Exandria as well. Like, it is so intertwined with me. But I think as a Daggerheart fan, I'd want its own world, if that makes sense. Because I also think that's what they'd do. I think they'd want it to be a separate entity. But I'm kind of happy either way. I told you... Still, Cage, what are you? Memory man? I told you the light was what kills it? I don't think it is now. I think maybe I thought it was. Now I think it's simply that it's plugged in. It's a DSLR camera that's not supposed to be... You plug it in to charge it. You're not supposed to plug it in and leave it turned on, I don't think. It's fine. It works. But I think it just overheats because, A, it's turned on and it's got a constant, steady power supply. And what I should probably do is unplug it, but then the battery runs out. So I think maybe from now on, what I'll do is I will leave it on for like 2 hours, plugged in, and then unplug it and let the battery go down. What kind of camera? It's a Sony A7 III, I believe. And that is a 9 from Still Cage. Bro, I think that's the final fare. The final fare. So I'll finish this up and we can... Should we... How many people are on Twitch? 14 people on Twitch. Shall we raid someone? That's the question. I have a question. Do you think they would bring back Joe Manganiello in C4? No. I don't. Do you like Joe Manganiello? I learned a little bit more about the help action from your video. Oh, what did I do? Always double check stuff. Maybe I am getting it wrong. Phil, have you ever considered that you can remake your old videos with a fresher outlook, but fame in the world of Daggerheart, because technically it's a new audience? I have thought about that. Or I make a video for Daggerheart about encounters, like about combat, and then I make the exact same video for D&D, but just like shift certain words around, and I put them both. But nah, it's like... I'm all about trying to be creative and new now. I'm trying to make new stuff, original stuff. Your Daggerheart actual play is the only one I found really hard to resonate. Thank you, Adler. That actually genuinely means a lot. I didn't think people would be captivated by it. Because it's... I feel like I've got a lot more to learn, is what I'm saying, about making them, like a lot more. So I appreciate that. Charging and running most devices is a great way to overheat them, true. How do I know when you're going live? So you can turn notifications on... Oh, you're not on Twitch or on YouTube. I think you can... If you're subscribed on YouTube, you can put that bell on, but like obviously you'll get pinged every time I do anything, and you probably don't want that. The best way to know when I'm live is to join the Discord and keep an eye on the announcements thing, because I usually throw it in there when I go live. Other than that, because if you don't join Discord, that's fine. Or you just don't use Discord that often. Other than that, you kind of just have to like... If you watch a few lives, YouTube will show you the lives every time. Yeah, maybe we'll do Ghostfire Gaming. Silence, are you available to start a raid? Like, technically, can you do it? I guess, mechanically. You did right, I'm holding the book now. Awesome. Very surprised the camera is overheated, considered it's a Sony A7 III. Yeah, apparently Sony cameras in general have an overheating issue. But it is what it is. I can see an option. I think if you... I don't know how it works, because you're a mod. I can type /raid, and then I can copy and paste whoever's name in there. So Ghostfire Gaming. Do you want to try that? Give it a go. The worst thing that'll happen is we'll raid out. But I kind of want to end the stream now. Give it a go. Sorry. Everyone has to stay on Twitch, and if you're on YouTube, come over to Twitch and let's get these numbers up. So I just wonder if you can do it, even. Like, are you? Is that like a mod thing? If this works, adios. Oh, yeah. Your finger's on a button. I take it it's not working, Silence. Oh, the 10. The 10, the most mid-roll that ever existed. Humble Gallipot, thank you for coming over. Phil's trying to get out of cooking his dinner. What is that? I think there's a tunnel over there again. I'm going to go into an elevator. I always lose signal in elevators. Or, as we call them in the motherland, lifts. All right. I'm gonna spend my final fate here to push this along, Silence. I'm gonna just do it myself. That's not an insult at you. I tried, but it failed. Okay, good to know. It kind of makes sense that you can't do it. I'm gonna do it. We got 4 people. We got 7 people. We got 9 people going over. You got 13 people going over there. 15 people going over there. 14 people. 15 again. All right. With 15, let's go 14 now. God damn it. Let's go 15 now. I'm going to stop counting those numbers. Let's do a little raid, guys. It's been a pleasure, and I will catch you all later. You guys are awesome.